Sid and Friends in the morning. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Sid, do you want to come up here, Sid? Mark, should I let Sid come up, Mark? I think so. Come on, Sid. So Sid's got the #1 radio show in New York. Got the #1 radio show in New York, like by far.
Mayor Mamdani says that he is still considering legal options to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who will be in New York for the UN General Assembly in September. But can he really do it? Dick Brennan is here now with more on that, Dick.
Yeah, Christine, good question. The UN General Assembly, as you know, is mostly known to New Yorkers for the massive traffic headaches it causes. But now, even before it starts, it's kicking up a political storm with the mayor threatening to possibly arrest a prime minister. And now the Israeli ambassador to the UN firing back.
The person who should be arrested is not our prime minister. Is you, Mr. Mamdani.
The Israeli ambassador to the UN blasting Mayor Mamdani for suggesting he might arrest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when he visits the General Assembly in September.
The same mayor who continues to fuel anti-Semitism across New York. And now, the same mayor who threatens Israel's prime minister with arrest powers he does not have.
But Mamdani says Netanyahu is the subject of an international criminal court arrest warrant
for war crimes, and he's the architect of the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza as Israel's prime minister.
Mamdani continues to insist he's involved in active conversation with his lawyers about arresting Netanyahu over the warrant.
It's something that should be taken seriously, whether it's Benjamin Netanyahu or it's Vladimir Putin or whomever else. What I've also made clear is that my administration will follow all applicable local laws.
President Trump said in a Truth Social post, Benjamin Netanyahu will not be arrested in any way, shape, or form while in the United States of America.
Can the mayor have the prime minister arrested?
The answer basically is no.
Kean University Provost David Birdsell says the U.S. does not recognize the International Criminal Court. And in addition, the city of New York has no say.
The federal government gets to determine the foreign policy of the United States, not states, and certainly not cities. It's very clear that the mayor does not have authority to arrest.
Now, Netanyahu's office issued a statement calling the ICC a kangaroo court that has no jurisdiction over Americans or Israelis. The UN General Assembly opens up on September 8th. Christine, stay tuned.
Mr. Prime Minister, I know that, you come to the United States often, and I'm in New York City, and I hate Mamdani. I'm going to use that word. You don't have to, Mr. Prime Minister. I will. I hate his guts. And he has threatened to arrest you time and time again, which we know he really can't do. But he seems pretty steadfast on arresting you when you get here. I know you're going to come speak at the UN in September. I know you have a trip, too, coming to D.C., but are you nervous that he may try that when you get here in September?
No, I'm not. I think he should look at who he's condemning, who he's praising. He's condemning Israel, the one democracy that stands shoulder to shoulder with American values, fights our soldiers, fight shoulder to shoulder with America's valiant soldiers. But who does he champion? Hamas, that calls openly to massacre every Jew on earth, that conducted that horrible massacre, the worst massacres on Jews since the Holocaust. He basically apologizes and excuses for Iran, the greatest terror regime on earth, that openly calls for the murder of President Trump and other senior officials, and so on. So he's with the terror actors. And I think the problem is, that he doesn't recognize, or he doesn't care, that those who hate the Jews and Israel ultimately hate America. And in fact, I think secretly, he hates America.
U.S. war in Iran, the American soldiers killed, the Pentagon now identifying two of the soldiers, Private Isabella Gonzalez of Texas and First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan of Hawaii. What President Trump is now saying, and amid all of this, oil prices up, gas hitting $4 again in the U.S. Martha Raddatz in the region for us, reporting from Jordan.
This is the moment Iranian missiles struck a U.S. base here in Jordan, killing multiple soldiers. Video circulating online showing massive explosions. One missile striking a housing container unit, according to sources, although it is unclear whether that is where the fatalities occurred. U.S. Central Command identifying two of the soldiers killed, the youngest, 19-year-old Private Isabella Gonzalez of Texas, and 25-year-old First Lieutenant Tyler Feehan of Hawaii. Officials say human remains found are likely those of a third missing service member, still unidentified. And in Iraq, where Iran has unleashed a relentless missile and drone assault, the U.S. says an additional U.S. service member was killed during the controlled detonation of a downed Iranian attack drone. President Trump vowing retaliation, warning Iran will pay many times over for every American soldier killed. And the U.S. launching new attacks on Iranian military targets for the 10th straight day. And, David, an Iran-backed group is now threatening to block passage of Saudi ships through the Red Sea, with traffic in the critical Strait of Hormuz already way down. All of this sending oil prices higher and gas prices in the U.S. now topping $4 per gallon.
The president again saying, I hope Darlene does this. Meaning, I hope you will get. And here's the filing deadline for people that don't know. And these are just the laws of South Carolina. The filing begins tomorrow. I think you have a week.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And by that time, the funerals won't even have taken place.
I know.
And then the president's putting an ask on you, we'll put it that way. It's a lot of pressure.
It is a tremendous amount of pressure.
Tell me what's going through your head about it, and where do you stand now?
I'll continue to say I've been praying a lot, talking to my family, but with the love of my family, with the support of his staff. I know I'm a hard worker. I learned that from Lindsay. He cared about the people of this state. I've worked for almost 30 years for the people of this state.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
I feel like I can do it. I feel an inner peace about it. Will it be difficult? Yes, absolutely.
So you're inclined to get in, or have you even made a final decision?
I've made a decision.
You're in.
I'm in.
You know who hasn't said a word in the wake of U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham's death? Not a thing. Tucker Carlson. Yet he spent the past week providing running cover and the most staunch defense of Ro Khanna, who was apparently held up in a secure zone on a trip to Israel he didn't tell anyone about, in essentially a war zone. So Tucker Carlson cares so deeply about the welfare of that US politician, but can't even muster a few words at the death of someone who has served his nation both in the military and in US Parliament for decades. What a hypocrite.
Do you remember when the fan did Fear at the Pier and it was Bernard McGurk against Sid Rosenberg? I
love Sid. Sid is the greatest. I love Sid so much.
The very last item you heard in today's Open, once again put together in extraordinary fashion by our great executive producer, Justin Ellick, was a phone call that took place at about 3 o'clock this morning, literally overnight, on WFAN, my guy Zach Gelb. So if you don't know about the Gelbs, I'll give you a quick history lesson, which Lewis knows already. Way back when Mike and the Mad Dog, Mike Francesa and Christopher Mad Dog Russo, were becoming this legendary pair in New York sports talk radio, they had a producer. And his name was Bob Gelb. And Bob had a pretty high-profile on-air persona as the producer of Mike and Chris, you know. And eventually, as time went on, Bobby couldn't stand Mike or whatever. I don't know. May have made that up. I don't know. And he moved out of the producer's role. And Gelby went on to become, and still is, one of the great salesmen in New York radio history. Is that a stretch? I think that's right, no?
No, I think that's a good
it is.
synopsis. He He looked a lot. He looked like Death of a Salesman on many occasions, kind of running around with his shirt outside of his pants.
Well,
but he did a lot of work. He was working.
He's an amazing salesman, and part of the reason why he looked like that was because he had to go through nonsense. I mean, I remember.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I remember one time he had a client, and the client wanted to spend, I should say, maybe a couple of $1 million. I'm not exaggerating. Maybe $1 million, $2 million, whatever it was, on the Imus in the Morning Show. And Gelby, back in the old studios in Astoria, Queens, made his way to Don's office. He was so excited. Look, I got this client going to spend $2 million. You know what they would do here if that happened? And Imus literally kicked him out of the office. Kicked him out of the office. Had no interest, couldn't care less. And that was Gelb almost every day, because he mostly saw for Imus after he was done producing for Mike and Chris. And I think he saw for Imus even here at WABC.
Yeah, I think so. I think he came over to specifically do that. Start like that. He was Pete Frank. He started as Pete Franklin's
producer.
Afternoon. Yeah.
Yes.
That was his shift.
And then he went to Mike and Chris.
I always was impressed how he worked, how he would get in the studio quickly.
Oh, he's great.
Get three phone calls up. He's like, what are you going to talk to? Okay, then he would deal with something else. He was very on top of things.
And he's the same way with sales. So whether he's producing or sales, he's a great guy, Bobby Gelb. So anyway, long story short, his son Zach Gelb, he's about 7 years old, and I'm doing the midday show at WFAN with Joe Beningo, who's set to join me in about 40 minutes this morning, which will make Noam happy because, Noam, you love Joe, right? So Zach walks in. He's wearing his Tom Brady number 12 Patriots jersey. Zach Gelb, little boy, big Patriot fan. Why? Because the Pats won. That's why. So we put him on the air. I believe he was the youngest person at the time that we put on the air at the Fan. I don't know how young Wyatt was, for example, or maybe later Dog put his kid on, Craig Carton put his kid on, but at the time, a 7-year-old or 8-year-old Zach Gelb, very, very young, and that was his first taste on air, Zach, of sports talk radio. His father was already a big deal at the Fan. Now he's a kid. His dream is to be at the Fan, and as a little boy, he's on the air like my son Gabe has done many times. Gabe started me on the air when he was 4. Gabe and Ava both were on the air with me when they were 4 years old. Zach, at the age of 7, is on the midday show with me and Joe Beningo. Well, how about that? Gelb, also the rep for Pete Morgan, Peerless Boilers. Forever, he has been Pete Morgan, Peerless Boilers guy, Bob Gelb. So we put him on the air, and here we are, decades later, and Zach is an on-air personality for both WFAN and CBS Radio. And last night he did the overnight. Now, today they actually gave him a big deal because Craig Carton's afternoon co-host, C-Mac, is out. And I don't know why. Vacation, I don't know. So Craig actually called Zach Gelb yesterday and said, what are you doing tomorrow? And Zach said, I don't know, nothing. Why? He said, well, you're working with me. So Zach did the overnight at the Fan this morning, and then he'll be back this afternoon to do the big-time afternoon show with Craig Carton. We're happy for Zach. We love Zach.
Great job.
Yeah. So he took that phone call overnight. Whoever this guy was, Jimmy from Brooklyn or Sal from Yonkers or Jerome from Manhattan, whoever it is, he said, I love Sid. Sid's a gangster, and that's why we played Gangster Paradise from the movie with, what is her name now?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes. What was the name of that movie?
Let's see.
She was a teacher.
Yeah.
I know that.
She came into a rough
school. Rough school. A lot of black kids. She's a good-looking blonde white lady.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I did see it.
Come on. What was the name of that movie? It was a big deal many years ago. Anyway, the Fan called me a gangster, so we played Gangsters. Well, Gangsta, really. Gangsta's Paradise. So one more time. It's only 18 seconds. 18 chai. Here is Zach Gelb and a caller about 3.5 hours ago overnight on WFAN talking about me.
Do you remember when the Fan did Fear at the Pier and it was Bernard McGurk against Sid Rosenberg. I
love Sid. Sid is the greatest. I love Sid so much. Sid's a gangster, man.
I think
you want to do something for the fan? Bring Sid to the fan. I'll give a little taste of Imus to the fan.
Yeah. So the guy asked what year it was. Believe it or not, because I think later in the conversation, Zach said, I don't know, about 2005, 2006. Wrong. Believe it or not, this October, literally about a week before I have my Hall of Fame induction ceremony at the Rainbow Room, early October, it will be 23 years. 23.
Wow.
Since Fear at the Pier. That was October of 2003.
Yikes.
My daughter Ava wasn't even born yet.
Well, good. She didn't have to see it.
She didn't see it. No, she's seen it since.
Dangerous Minds.
Danielle, Dangerous Minds. Very good. Danielle was pregnant with Ava at the time. And she was so distraught when she saw I got my ass kicked.
Did you train
She's like, I'm
at
glad
all?
I didn't lose a baby.
Yeah, they both trained.
No. Here's what happened. So I was living in the city.
Right.
And I was a member of Chelsea Piers, one of the greatest gyms ever. And ironically, that's where me and Bernard held that epic fight on MSNBC television all over the world. Rudy Giuliani was there. David Dinkins was there. We had this panel of judges, Don Imus, Mike Francesa, Chris Russo, Mike Breen, Mike Lupica, Marv Albert, Mike Barnacle, all the judges. Okay? That's in October of 2003. But before then, I lived in Chelsea, Danielle and I. We lived on the corner. Well, we actually lived in between 8th and 9th Street on 8th and 9th Avenues, I should say, on 21st Street. Lou was at that apartment many, many times. So I would train every day at Chelsea Piers, and I took it really seriously. And then in, I guess, July or August of that year, we bought a home, a beautiful home, because there was no way that apartment was big enough for me, Danielle, our dog Lucy, and Ava, who was on the way. So we bought this beautiful home in a lovely neighborhood, Tenafly, New Jersey. And I loved living there. I really did. So once I moved to Tenafly, and I wasn't a member of the gym anymore, and Danielle was in the last trimester of her pregnancy, you know what that meant, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken at midnight, ice cream at 1 o'clock in the morning, and every time I would go get something for Danielle, I ate too. By the time my daughter Ava was born, I was 208 pounds.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I ballooned to that because every time Danielle had a late night snack, she was pregnant, I joined her.
Wow.
So, yes, I was working out. I was in good shape. It didn't matter. Bernard actually had boxing training. Bernard, God rest his soul, actually fought in the Golden Gloves. So I had no chance against him. I put on too much weight. I'm out of shape. At that time, I was still drinking and doing drugs. And here comes Bernard, who wanted to kill me. I remember when he first punched me, I go, Bernie, kind of like Hulk Hogan and Rocky. When Rocky was like, take it easy. It's supposed to be an exhibition. I said the same thing to Bernard. He wanted no part of it. He's like, we're in the ring. We're going to fight. That's it.
Oh, that's what his mentality was.
Yeah.
I'm
psycho. Complete psycho. So he kicked my ass, and that's going to be 23 years already. Know me. Believe that?
Yeah. And so was it, how many rounds was this fight?
3. But I remember in the middle of the 3rd round, Lee Davis.
Scared. He got scared.
Scared. He was jumping up and down, begging them to stop the fight. Yeah. Now, I never hit the canvas. He never knocked me down. I think he did break my nose. I certainly had a concussion because I went to my favorite diner, the Tenafly Diner, afterwards, and I had no idea where I was. The lady said, what do you want to eat? And I said, oh, there's food here?
Was it kind of like, do you remember the scene in Rocky where Hulk Hogan...
Same thing, I just said it.
Oh, you did say
it was supposed to be like an exhibition, a fun thing.
So, like, when he punched you hard that first time, did you get angry and try to punch him back?
And I connected a couple times, but the, what was his name, Howard Letterman, with the Fight Box stats on HBO, I didn't land a lot of punches.
How many punches did he land on you, you think?
Oh, God, I don't know. He beat the living daylights out of me.
I got to go back and watch it.
Oh, I took a beating. And Teddy Atlas was my trainer that morning. He didn't train me for the fight, but he was in my corner that morning. And years later, my producer down in Florida, Steve Zemak, saw him at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Fort Lauderdale. And he said, Teddy, I'm Steve Zemak. I'm Sid's producer. You trained Sid for the fight. And Teddy said, nope. I don't take any credit for that one. Teddy trained Michael Moore to a heavyweight championship. He trained Mike Tyson. He wanted no part of Sid Rosenberg getting his ass kicked by Bernard McGurk. So I took a vicious beating that day, but you know what we did? We raised $500,000 for kids with cancer for the Don Imus Foundation. I know Howard Stern makes fun of it because Howard's a dick. Truth is, Imus, even as nasty as he was, did a lot of really good things for a lot of people in need, especially sick kids. And that's what we did that day. He charged the fan charged $500 a seat. And there were 500 seats, I believe, maybe 1,000, I don't know. Maybe it was $250,000. But that place was packed. And let me tell you something. I've been in plenty of bar fights in my life. Plenty. I was all hopped up, but plenty of bar fights. It's another thing when you're on MSNBC, television all over the world. You were very popular then. It was the #1 cable show. And all these radio stations. But you're on TV and you get punched in the face at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that's what it was, right?
I mean, I'm getting pummeled before 9 o'clock. And you know what? I would do it all over again. God rest Bernie's soul. And it was just it was a great day. Joe Beningo, who will join me again in about 30 minutes, says to this day, with all the amazing shows in the long history now, 40 years of WFAN, all their anniversary shows, all the amazing sports stars, Mike and Chris, all those great shows, Beningo contends that morning was still the best show ever in fan history.
Oh, that's big.
Well, look at the panel we had that day. Every one of them was on the radio and TV that day. Lupica, Marv Albert, Mike Breen, Mike and the Mad Dog, Imus. It was nuts. It was just nuts. So anyway, Zach Gelb is a great kid, and good luck later on this afternoon. This Mamdani Bibi story won't go away. You know, I love, the media goes, well, you know, what do you think? What do you mean, what do you think? There's no gray area in this discussion. Well, he probably can't. No, he can't. There's no gray area. It literally is this idiot, jihad, Jew-hating, anti-Semite mayor cannot arrest Bibi. There's no gray area. Zero. The ICC, that Jew-hating corrupt court, has zero, not 1%, not 11%, not 30%. They've got zero jurisdiction in the United States. Zero. So you didn't need the discussion with me and Bibi to tell you he can't arrest him. You didn't need President Trump. God, I love you, President Trump. You see, this is why I love Trump. I've been critical at times about Iran and Turkey, blah, blah, blah. But when he comes out yesterday, President Trump, and he says, you're not arresting Bibi anywhere, anytime. He's been a great fighter for us in this conflict against Iran. You're not arresting him. Great job by Trump. The truth is, there is zero chance. They have no jurisdiction in this country. Nobody cares what the ICC says. So when reporters go, you know, he's trying. It doesn't matter what he tries. I mean, I never really reveal my conversations with Jessica Tisch, because when I do, she gets in trouble. I'll say it. The mayor's office, I think, calls her right away. Her or Delaney, one of them. But I spoke to Tisch on Saturday. She laughed. And again, we played this a million times, but it's worth playing again. Bibi's reaction. You know, me and Bibi, I started this whole thing. You know that, Noam, right?
Yeah.
This whole thing with Mamdani arresting Bibi, all these interviews, every one of them should play me. Because I started it. Bibi was on this show 8 days ago, and I'm the one, Sid Rosenberg, who posed a question to Bibi about a potential arrest and whether or not Bibi was nervous. So if you missed it for the 1,000th time, I think I've got it here somewhere. Maybe I don't. No, it's not on. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Here it is. Cut number 5. I was the one who raised the question to the Prime Minister of Israel 8 days ago. Mr. Prime Minister, I know that, you come to the United States often, and I'm in New York City, and I hate Mamdani. I'm going to use that word. You don't have to, Mr. Prime Minister. I will. I hate his guts. And he has threatened to arrest you time and time again, which we know he really can't do, but he seems pretty steadfast on arresting you when you get here. I know you're going to come speak at the UN in September. I know you have a trip, too, coming to D.C., but Are you nervous that he may try that when you get here in September?
No, I'm not. I think he should look at who he's condemning, who he's praising. He's condemning Israel, the one democracy that stands shoulder to shoulder with American values, fights our soldiers, fight shoulder to shoulder with America's valiant soldiers. But, who does he champion? Hamas, that calls openly to massacre every Jew on earth, that conducted that horrible massacre, the worst massacres on Jews since the Holocaust. He basically apologizes and excuses for Iran, the greatest terror regime on earth, that openly calls for the murder of President Trump and other senior officials, and so on. So he's with the terror actors. And I think the problem is, that he doesn't recognize, or he doesn't care, that those who hate the Jews and Israel ultimately hate America. And in fact, I think secretly, he hates America.
Nothing secret about it, Bibi. He hates America. So this moron was, again, on television just yesterday, doubling down, trying desperately to find a way to arrest Bibi. Noel made me aware of this. This was an interview that this jihad radical mayor of ours, this lowlife, did with some lady named Lulu Garcia of the New York Times. It was over the weekend. I did play it yesterday, but it is worth replaying. This is Mamdani, cut number 2, explaining to Garcia, he's such a moron, that Bibi should be in The Hague. This is cut number 2.
Look, I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. He's a war criminal who has been charged by the International Criminal Court.
Yeah. Who cares?
And what you will find is that is an opinion that is held by many.
Not really.
Purely because
I want to punch you across the face.
Brought over these last many years. I've also said that I will
Here's
follow the laws that we have here in New York City.
Shove it up your ass.
Because I believe that there's an importance in following the law.
Shut up, stupid. There's no law here that can do that. Shut up, stupid.
Yeah. Meaning? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Enough of this. God, I can't stand him. I mean, shut up, stupid. There's no law that you can do. You can't do it. But yesterday, he continued to double down again. This is Louis, cut number 4. Yesterday, after everybody made it very, very clear on Sunday that there's zero chance, there's no way Netanyahu could be arrested on American soil. Trump said it too. Here is your mayor. You love this guy, don't you? Cut number 4, Mamdani.
We're speaking about someone who's the subject of an international criminal court arrest warrant.
Nobody cares.
And he's the subject of this arrest warrant for alleged crimes against humanity.
Not really.
For war crimes. And he's the architect of the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza.
There's that word you like. There's that word you like. Radical jihad, radical Islam, douchebag mayor. You love that word genocide, don't you? Even though it doesn't exist, dickface. Here's one more, cut number 3 from this wretched lowlife Mamdani.
My administration will follow all applicable local laws.
Good, then shut up.
That is our commitment. That is something that we will follow through on when it comes to an adherence to local law. And that's all I have to add on that.
Good, okay. I mean, I just want to do things for this guy that'll put me in jail for 50 years. I'm saying it. I don't care. Don't care. I mean, I've disliked a lot of politicians along the way. Disliked a lot of them. But there is nobody in my lifetime, and if God is good to me, I'll be 60 in April, 60. There is nobody that comes close to the legitimate hate I've got for Mamdani. Like, I want to hurt him. But, well, I think I can I know?
No, you don't want to do that.
No, I do want to do that. Don't tell me what I want to do.
No, but I'm saying you don't want to do that.
No, I do want to do that.
I understand you want to, but it's probably not a good idea.
I probably won't do it.
Yeah.
But don't tell me what I want to do.
You're right. You want to do it, but it's not a good idea.
I want to hang him upside down from the 18th floor of some hotel in the city. Till all the millions fall out of his pocket. That's what I want to do. You know? But you said I can't do it, huh?
No.
Mm-hmm. So what can I do to stop this?
Well, you're doing maniac. Some of it. You're talking about him.
So what?
Yeah, well.
He still goes on with like Errol Lewis, that racist, fat, stupid racist, and other people, and says stupid things and harmful things and puts Jews in danger and Americans in danger. So I'm talking about it, but is that enough?
Well, look, he knows that he can't do anything to arrest Bibi Netanyahu. You and I know that he can't do it, but it's political capital for him. The more he talks about it and says, I'm talking to my legal team, even though his legal team has already told him there's no way you can do it.
Exactly.
He can then go back and say, well, that was one of my promises. I tried, but the system stopped me. The Fed stopped me from doing it.
His loser DSA people, those disgusting people. Even Donovan Richards, okay, who's a terrible borough president. How do I know he's my borough president? I live in Queens. Donovan Richards is awful, awful. And even Richards came out yesterday blasting the Democrats and the DSA. I guess he's old school Democrat, so whatever that means. I really want to see, I think it was Morano who told me this first. I'd like to see Vicky Palladino out of the city council, Queens, run for Queens borough president. What do you think about that, Noam?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's talk out there of senator and Congress and mayor. That's all out there, right? For Ina Vernikoff, it's out there. She may run for one of those. But I'd like to see Vicky as the Queens borough president. My borough president. Well, I still live in Queens. That's what I wanted to do. So I'm going to tell her that, okay?
I think that's a better gig for her, actually.
Yeah. Talking about gigs, later on tonight, if you've never met me before, most of you have, but if you haven't, here's your opportunity. Of course, tonight I'll be hosting this big event for Joseph Hernandez. He was in studio with me on this show late yesterday. Great guy. Great story. Cuban immigrant who came to the United States. He's made it big, and now he's running for New York State Comptroller. And he promised on this show yesterday, if you're committing fraud and you're stealing money from New York, which puts law-abiding people like us, taxpayers, at risk, he's going to put you in jail. He was really forceful and excellent on this show yesterday. He's run for mayor, too, you know. So his name is Joseph Hernandez. Again, he's running for New York State Comptroller. And tonight we've got a big event at Dorian's Red Hand. You know what that is, Noam?
I don't.
It's at 1616 2nd Avenue. I don't know what street that is. I think it's in the 60s. Can you check that for me?
Sure.
1616 2nd Avenue. $75 per person. With that, you get 2 drink tickets. You get a bunch of nice hors d'oeuvres. You could also donate online, hernandez4newyork.com/Sid. That's hernandez4newyork.com/Sid. Sid Rosenberg and Joseph Hernandez. 6:30 tonight at Dorian's. So be there. You coming, Noam?
Let me just check my schedule.
Yeah,
and if it's available, I'll come in.
You got nothing going on, but you're just not going to come, are you?
I'm going to look and see.
What
right
street
now.
is that?
You said 2nd or 3rd Avenue?
2nd Avenue.
It is 84th Street.
Oh, it's at Uptown, huh? Mm-hmm. 84th and 2nd, Dorian's Red Hand. Be there later on tonight. Okay, we got the Mamdani BB stuff. What else is going on, though?
The mess in the Middle East continues. There was more firing missiles at each other overnight. No sign that that's going to stop anytime soon. The soldiers who were killed in Jordan, their bodies are going to be returned to Dover Air Force Base. It was going to happen this morning, but now it looks like it's going to be tomorrow morning. The president will be there on hand for that. But no signs that the two are going to be back at the peace table anytime soon. In fact, things have really just intensified in the last couple of days. What was it, 9 or 10 days in a row now?
10 days in a row. Yeah. All-out war is coming. So again, not to aggravate my friends who are very smart people, but when I was adamant for weeks ago, people in this studio told me we already won. They told me the same thing on Fox News. You remember that? Campos and Campos Stuffy and Hurt and Griff. And I laughed. I said, what are you people talking about? I even said on Fox News, you don't win a baseball game in the 6th inning. You got to play 9. I don't care that Dow Jones was up for a couple of weeks or that oil was down for a couple of weeks. If you know anything about politics and about the relationship, nearly 5 decades of America and Iran, we never won this. In fact, not even close. I'm not going to blame Trump for saying it because he's the president and he wants to deliver an optimistic message. But I had people on this show telling me we already won. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I know you love Trump. You don't love Trump any more than I do. And I don't think Trump likes you more than he likes me, okay? But you got to be honest. You got to call it the way it is. We never won this. And now we're right back at the brink of all-out war. Oil prices are up again. Right? Gas prices are up again. American soldiers are dying. What do you mean we won the war 3 weeks ago? Remember how angry I was getting about that, Noam?
I do.
Was I not 1,000% right? Like I've been about Eric Adams and his run for mayor time and time again. Everybody talks about they're always right. No, I'm the only one who's always right. Always. Was that not true? No.
I remember you saying this months ago when we pulled back and we said, okay, let's negotiate a peace deal. You said, no, let's finish them off.
Yeah, because if you allow the cancer to stick around, eventually it grows. It metastasizes. You don't let the cancer stay. You go in for surgery and you take the tumor out. And we weren't doing that. So great. So for a couple of days at Dow Jones, who cares? Who cares? I got a 401k too, but I'm not silly enough to believe that that was going to mean the difference. You started this thing, you need to finish it. And now, again, we're at the brink of all-out war. It's a very serious situation. This is no joke. I'm rooting for Trump. I love the fact he started it. I said that. I said time and time again. Midnight Hammer was the big win. That was the big win. That's all we needed, really, because Midnight Hammer, we did so much damage to their nuclear reactors, the centrifuges, all that. That was it. We didn't even need Epic Fury, but you know what? Epic Fury worked out well. We wiped out the Khomeini and all those other people, and we sent a message. It was great. Not as big as Midnight Hammer, but it was good. But the last couple of months, while people are proclaiming victory, silly. It's been a disaster. I don't know, KT McFarlane is going to tell me it's all good. It's not. It's stuck. We are stuck. And now it could be uglier than at any point during the last, year and a half of this conflict, right? Could be uglier. Or am I wrong, no?
No, there's been so many stops and starts and so many promises, then they're taken back. And so no wonder the Iranians are still engaged, because they don't necessarily believe the president's going to follow through on all the threats that he's made, because he hasn't.
That's right. So, well, now he is. Trump knows the deal. He's upset about the Americans being killed, at least 2, maybe 3, it looks like, right? They found some body parts. Is that right?
Yeah, there was a third one who was missing. Then you had that soldier in northern Iran who they found a drone, and I guess the drone exploded. We don't have all the details. But
well, the soldier was trying to detonate something, right? Mm-hmm. And then was killed in that effort. What else is going on, Noam?
While we're overseas, the State Department has been warning Americans, because of the war intensifying, that they should be careful as they travel this summer, or if there are Americans living overseas. And now we're seeing an attack this morning. This took place right near the Acropolis in Athens. 2 Americans were stabbed, 1 in serious condition.
Really?
Yeah.
In Greece?
Yeah, in Greece. Now, it may not be connected to what's going on overseas. We don't know. We don't know anything about this guy, but they did grab the person who stabbed these 2 Americans right outside the Acropolis this morning.
I was there about this time last summer. In fact, we wanted to go to the Parthenon, Danielle and I, but it hit record temperatures, 109 degrees that day Fahrenheit, and they closed it. So we were able to go to the museum, which was pretty cool. And, of course, we can see the Parthenon, but we were not able to actually go into it. We stayed in Athens for about a day and a half and loved it before going to Cyprus. Want to go back to Athens this year in August, still attempting to do that. But that's not a great story.
Oh, and then I got another one.
You know what I did see in Greece, too, which me and Danielle really bothered me, was a pretty significant head count for the pro-Hamas. And the hotel we stayed at in Athens was right across the street from some government building, and there was some anti-Israel stuff spray-painted outside on the walls. We were surprised to see that. We never really considered Greece as a anti-Semitic country, and it probably isn't. But there in the heart of Athens, there was a significant amount of pro-Hamas people that rallied the night we actually got to Athens. We were surprised to see that. What else you got?
Back home, you had Mayor Mamdani was taking this victory lap yesterday on Legionnaire, saying that he thought that they had got the outbreak under control, and then
not even close.
A 4th person passed away.
What's he talking? There's like 80 different Aren't there 80 different patients now?
Yeah, there's 80 patients. About 9 are still in the hospital. And then you had City Council Speaker Julie Menon speaking out last night saying, no, you didn't handle this well at all. She pushing back, and now she's going to present some bill this morning in the City Council that would make sure this doesn't happen again, that they actually go into these cooling towers before anything happens and have a hotline where people can report these things so it doesn't get out of hand like this one has on the Upper East Side. Now 4 dead, 79 infected with this Legionnaire's disease, and 9 or 10 in the hospital.
Do you know that while all this is going on, that Mamdani, I know you know this, continues to raise money for his next mayoral campaign? Now, I believe he served 6 months. Is that about right? Maybe 7 of a 4-year stay. 4-year stay. He's done about 6 months. He's already raising money for his next mayoral campaign. Last month he raised, I believe, just over $300,000. So this guy is already looking towards 8 years when he hasn't even done 1 year. And you know the names of the people because they put them in the paper every week. It's in city and state every couple of days. They always mention the same 3 names. You know that name, right? They mention John Schell, former chief of chief of what? Of department. John Schell, former chief of department for the NYPD. Now they mention in almost every article the kid from Barstool, what's his name again? Portnoy. Dave Portnoy, and they mention me. Now, I have not told anybody that I am definitely running. In fact, I tell most people I'm probably not, because I'm going to do radio here at WABC for many years, and do well. Podcast, TV, whatever I'm doing. And on top of that, my wife has made it very, very clear that I'll have to get my own place if I run for mayor. And I enjoy sipping with Danielle every night. So the odds of me running are low. Let's just say they're low. But they love putting my name in there because Trump buddy. Nobody hates Mamdani more than Sid. I know Palladino does a great job. Scotty Libedo does a great job. There's nobody like me, okay? So they love putting my name in there, even though, unlike Portnoy and Shell, they've already declared. I haven't even declared. In fact, I keep saying I probably won't. But you notice, Noam, I'm in every column. But it doesn't matter. The truth is, this guy, Mamdani, is pretty confident he's going to win again. And it's not like our side of the aisle has put together a great list. You got that moron Curtis Sliwa running again after getting about 18% of the vote against Eric Adams and 7% of the vote against Mamdani, embarrassing us twice. I need Raul Rivera on the streets of New York to set that guy straight. So why wouldn't he do it, no?
Yeah, well, if you were to do it right now, he'd win all over again.
Everybody tells me the same thing. We got to get a businessman. Well, I haven't heard Bill Ackman announce yet, or Ken Griffin, or John Catsimatidis, who's going to be in his 80s. He doesn't want to do that. Maybe Bill Ackman. He's a young guy. He's got a big mouth. He's on Twitter. Tweet. You know, he was the guy that told us Eric Adams is definitely going to win, like everybody else. Every big money person in this city, Eric Adams is going to win. No, he's not. I said he had no chance. You know, some people are taking credit. I told you, Mamdani. No, some of you thought Mamdani had a chance or maybe would even win the primary. I don't think any of you really thought he was going to be the mayor of this city. I did. After he beat Cuomo, I did not think he was going to beat Cuomo in the primary. I'll admit that. Although, again, the day of the election, Mamdani was up 4 points on Andrew Cuomo. So it was not a surprise or an upset the day that he won. But the Republicans need to do a much, much better job, or independents. And maybe it's Jessica Tisch, who's still the police commissioner. So she's not going to announce it now. Maybe it's Menon. I don't know. I don't think Julie Menon can win. I don't know. I just don't see a list of people right now that are even going to contend with this guy as bad as he is. Do you?
No, and I think each year it becomes much harder for a Republican to win in New York City.
Yes.
It's not easy.
Any race.
Yeah.
My guy Bruce Blakeman is working his ass off. He's done a tremendous job. He shaved what was once a 27-point lead for Kathy Hochul. Some polls have him down just 5 right now. He's killing it, Bruce Blakeman. And I got to really give the credit to my son. Don't you think, Noam?
He's the reason that
I think
narrowed.
So.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, he's now worked. This is now 8 days that Gabriel Martin Atticus Rosenberg has been working for Bruce Blakeman. So I'm going to point to Gabe as the real factor in this ascent for Bruce Blakeman. Then I'll give Bruce some credit, I guess.
What is he doing? Is he making calls for the governor? Do you know what he's doing?
You know, it's funny you ask that question. I don't even know exactly what he's doing. I just know that he's there for a lot of hours with a lot of other young interns, and Bruce has had conversations with Gabriel. So has Chris Boyle. So was the chief. So have others. In fact, one of these Tuesdays or Thursdays, I'm going to speak in front of these interns at Blakeman's office. But he's got him doing a whole bunch of stuff. I think today, actually, Gaby's down at Pat Ryder's office, the police chief in Nassau County. But Bruce is doing a great job. He's running Nassau County as well as it's ever run. And at the same time, he's in all of New York State, up there with Todd Hood in all those northern parts of the state, which ironically is called the southern tier. But he is up there a couple of days a week and doing a great job. He's got a real shot here, Noam, real shot. But he's our last hope. So Bruce loses this, just buy the condo now. Don't wait. Don't even wait.
Where, Delray, or where am I?
I like Delray. I like Atlantic Avenue. You know, I lived in Boca Raton. Danielle and I got to Delray Beach in like 10 minutes. And we spent a lot of Saturday nights on Atlantic Avenue. A lot. Like a lot of those restaurants. You can move to Delray. It's nice. Right there on the water. You know, I've been a Boca guy most of my life, but I like Palm Beach County. You know, once you get to Boynton, it's a little rougher, you know. And then you start to hit like the Gaisha areas. Yeah. Then you go up to like the fishing part, like Jupiter and Stewart and those types of areas, and where the Mets play Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, it's a little frightening up there.
A little frightening up there, a little scary, yeah. But at any rate, that's what's going on. That's it, right, Noam?
I may have one more if you want one more.
Sure, give me some more good news.
This is actually a better story than the other one. So we told you yesterday about there was this 18-year-old girl. She's standing on the subway platform at the Medgar Evers College Station. This is about midnight on Sunday. She's going home from work. This guy comes up to her, tries to grab her purse. She gets into a fight with him. He takes a gun and he shoots her directly in the chest. And when we heard the story, I was like, this is not going to end well. She is back home today. The bullet actually went through her chest and out her back.
Oh, my God.
And so it ended up being a wound that there was not much they could do to really, tend to in the hospital. She was fine. So she was out telling her story yesterday saying, I'll never do that again. I'll hand over my purse next time.
Yeah.
But she said, I had a new Steve Madden purse and I didn't want to hand it over.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Just hand it over.
So, but she's amazingly, she walked away with just a flesh wound. She's going to be okay.
Oh, God
They haven't
bless
found
her.
the creep, though, who shot her.
Yeah, that's the problem. Just give it up, man, because it could cost you your life. Great job, Noam, as always. We've got a big guest list coming your way. We're going to start with WFAN legend and now weekly Sid Rosenberg contributor, Noam's favorite guest on the program, Joe Beningo. He kicks us off. Before it's said and done, we'll also talk to John Solomon. He's always great on these international issues. Bo Dietl, everybody's favorite cop and New Yorker, Bo Dietl. Chris Macchio, live in studio. That's President Trump's favorite tenor, an amazing opera singer. And when I saw the president Saturday night in Bedminster, New Jersey, I saw the president moments after Chris Macchio sang America the Beautiful. He sang America the Beautiful again the very next day, Sunday at the World Cup, but Fox screwed him and did not play his rendition like they were supposed to during the halftime show. So Macho will be live in studio coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. And then my good buddy, I spoke to him last night, Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, on a whole bunch of fraud issues here in New York. Got a lot going on. Looks like Harvard's in trouble again. Mike Wallace just did that story for the Worldwide News Network. So my friend is in charge of all this, My friend Harmeet Dillon, who happens to run the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ. Todd Blanche, whenever he gets confirmed, which will happen, will, of course, he runs the Criminal Division, which Pam Bondi did. So he will be that guy. But the two position, I guess, the Deputy Attorney General, that job is up for grabs. And I know J.D. Vance has a candidate. My friend Boris Epstein has a candidate. I want Harmeet Dillon to get that job. But Harmeet may come on this show tomorrow to talk specifically about this Harvard case. I will say this about Harmeet Dillon. She has been tremendous for people like me. So if you care about the anti-Semitism issue on our college campuses, our universities, Harmeet Dillon has been at the head of this issue. If you care about anti-Semitism from your public officials, people like this creep Mamdani, Harmeet Dillon has been at the head. Really, any hate crime, she is all over that. She's just terrific, and I really want her to get that Deputy Attorney General job. So I'm going to reach out to President Trump and fight with J.D. Vance and Boris Epstein and all these guys, see if I can get Harmeet through. But either way, she's on top of this Harvard situation, which you've just heard Wallace talk about it. They're not offering scholarships to Americans. They're giving these to other people from other countries. And you could take a guess which countries are donating a lot of money, and their kids are getting in. And that's a huge civil rights issue. So we will talk to Harmeet Dillon, I think, on this program tomorrow. We'll take a short break. When we get back, a very, very big name for Met fans. Very big name. In fact, he's about, like me, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Had his opportunity at managing the Mets, but he turned it down. You're not going to believe this. I just found this out this morning. And the New York Football Giants starting running back, second year back out of Arizona State, may want to take it easy. All those stories and more, WFAN legend and now weekly Sid Rosenberg contributor Joe Beningo. He was talking about the Giants' second-year running back, the starting running back, Cam Scatterbo, who suffered a pretty serious injury as a rookie last year. But he's nuts, this guy. He goes to all these crazy events and gets into scuffles and does all this stuff like he did on stage up in Natick's Best last week. And, you know, people like, that's Cam, man. That's what he does. Giants and Jets, believe it or not, opening training camp next week. We're here, folks. Football is right around the corner. So while the Mets continue to lose and lost to the Brewers last night, Milwaukee, for what it's worth, with the win over the Mets last night, they've now gone past the Dodgers as the best record in baseball. Milwaukee Brewers. And the Yankees got a big win over Pittsburgh. Football is here. Who better to talk to than the world's biggest Jets fan, WFAN legend, and now weekly Sid Rosenberg contributor, my former midday partner at The Fan, the amazing Joe Beningo. Joseph, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Sidney Arthur, how are you, bro? By the way, isn't it amazing how the Brewers have gotten better since Stearns left? It's unbelievable. My team got worse, and you know, this stiff Stearns, and you know, the Brewers have gotten better. It's wonderful.
There you have it. The Met GM leaves Milwaukee, best record in baseball, right, comes to the Mets. We can't win a game. Well, I want to get back to the Mets because I found out something this morning I didn't know. You know it, of course, because you're a sports guy.
Well, we don't know.
No, I didn't know. But I want to get to what Russo was saying about Cam Scatterbo. And what do you think about that? Cam doing all that crazy stuff at Fanatics Fest last week.
Well, that's what, you know, look, I mean, I don't think I'd be too thrilled about it if I'm a Giant fan. I mean, a guy coming off a major injury and all of that. But that's what he is. I mean, that's, you know, like he said, you go back to when he was at Arizona State, you love the way he was. I mean, he's a tremendous player. You know, he's fearless and to a fault. So I wouldn't be too happy about it, but as long as he didn't hurt himself, I guess it's okay. I'm sure Harbaugh wasn't too happy about it.
Now, next week, the Giants and your team, the Jets, training camps start. Here we go. Just a couple of months away from week 1 of the 2026 NFL season. What are you looking for? You know, look, I've been to these training camps many years. You're still going. And, you know, for the most part, it was pretty dreadful. You know? But what are you looking for from our two local teams, especially early on in training camp?
Well, I'll start with your team. I'll start with the Giants. I mean, I think the Giants are going to be good. I mean, I said this before. I know you got the injury to Malik Neighbors, and that's an issue, no doubt about it.
Well, hold on. Let me stop you right there because I think they're going to be good, too. But as good as Jackson Dart is, you need somebody to throw the football to. They lost Robinson. They didn't really acquire a big-time free agent. So if they're not Malik Neighbors, how could they be really good with a very, I don't know, a pretty slim wide receiving core?
Yeah, look, I mean, I still think they are. You know, you got the quarterback, you got the coach. I think the defense is going to be much better. You know, they've made moves on defense. I think they're going to be pretty good, Sid. They got the kid from Ohio State, Reese. They drafted the kid with the trade they made for Dexter Lawrence. What a steal that was. and they get this offensive lineman from Miami. I just think they're going to be a much better team. I really do. I think they got a chance to win the division. I mean, we'll see whether Neighbors comes back or not.
I would say this. They're not going to win the division because I'm with you. They'll be a much better team. I love Harbaugh. I love Dart. You mentioned all their great moves.
You still think the Eagles are better? Maybe Dallas?
The Eagles are not as good. A.J. Brown is now a New England Patriot, and you can't trust Dak Prescott to win big games. He's got great numbers, and he's a pretty good quarterback.
Well, I think you can't trust the Dallas defense. I think that's their bigger issue than Dak.
Yeah, but Dak always finds a way to make a bad play in the fourth quarter, too. Either way, if Neighbors is not healthy and doesn't give the Giants what they need, they're not winning the division, bottom line.
Okay. You give them 9 wins, you give them 10 wins, you give them 7 wins.
If Neighbors plays, 13, 12 or 13 games, they can win 10 or 11. I don't know. But, you can't expect them to be really good without any real threat. As far as I know, you may know more than me, at wide receiver.
Yeah, no, they don't have a lot. I mean, I know they brought Beckham back, but he's going to get hurt 3 weeks. He'll get hurt 3 weeks into the season.
And Jalen Hyatt runs down the field in about 3 seconds, but never catches the football.
He never catches the ball, right? Good deep threat.
They have, they do have, the Giants do have, which I should have mentioned, and I shouldn't just let it go. They have very good pass-catching tight ends.
They do. They got the guy from Baltimore, Isaiah Likely, who was a very good player. I thought that was an outstanding move bringing him in. Again, I still think they're going to be better than you think. I really do, Sid. And we'll see whether Neighbors comes back or not. But I got a lot of confidence in the head coach. You got a real head coach there. And I think this quarterback's going to be a star.
Oh, listen, again,
as long as he stays healthy, he's got to stay healthy.
Right. I think they'll be a winning football team. So I don't think you think they're going to be better than I think. They're going to be a winning football team.
Right.
But they can't be really good, double-digit wins, beat out the Eagles if Neighbors doesn't give them a whole bunch. That's my only point.
Probably true. Probably right.
Now, what about the Jets?
Well, I mean, look, I think the Jets are going to be better. I mean, I like what the GM – I really like what Darren Muji, the GM, has done. I question the head coach. But I want to see the head coach make it, bro. I'm tired of the revolving door of a new head coach for the Jets every 2 or 3 years, So, but I don't have a lot of confidence in him. But I like what Muji's done. I think he did a great job in the draft. I think he did a really good job with free agency. And I'll tell you what I want to see. Obviously, Geno Smith's going to start the season at quarterback. But I want to see this kid, Klubnik. They drafted him in the 4th round. Muji traded up 18 spots to get him. He started 4 years at Clemson. Big program, Dabo Swinney, top coach there. I want to see this kid. I mean, I want to see whether or not at some point, maybe 10 games into the season, whatever it is, I want to see this kid play. I want to see if they got a quarterback or not. They got 3 first-round draft choices again next year. Who knows? Maybe you hit the jackpot with him, and you don't have to draft a quarterback next year. So, to me, I want to see this kid play. I think the Jets are going to be better. I definitely do think it can't be worse than 3 wins. I mean, they weren't even an NFL team last year. They had a quarterback that couldn't even throw a pass. I mean, come on. So, I mean, Geno at least can throw the ball. Needs to stay out of trouble. There's no doubt about it. But, look, I mean, they'll be better. I want to see them, like I keep saying, I don't expect the playoffs or anything crazy like that. I want to see them at least in the hunt in December. Like they're still in the season on December 1st. Is that too much to ask?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
It is too much to ask because the Bills are still going to be good as long as they've got that quarterback. Right. The Pats, I don't care about the coach. They added A.J. Brown. They went to the Super Bowl last year.
The Pats are going backwards.
So, no, they're still going to be really good, much better than the Jets. Much better. So the Jets are fighting Miami not to come in last. Basically. So I think it is asking too much. And look, you told me you love my coach, John Harbaugh. I think I had, 20 conversations with you last year about how absolutely inept Aaron Glenn is. Right.
But again, yes. And I don't think he's going to be the coach long term, but I hope he is, Sid, because I'm tired. I said this. Every 3 years we got a new head coach here. You can't sustain anything if that's the case. And I at least think the general manager has a real idea of what he's doing. I do really feel that. And we'll see what happens with Glenn.
All right.
But, they can't be worse than they will.
No, they can't be worse. They'll be better with a veteran quarterback in Geno. All right, pretty optimistic, Joe Beningo, on the Locals football season coming up. So I found out this morning that when the Mets fired Carlos Mendoza,
right,
the guy that you've been talking about every day since, they offered him the job, and he said no thanks. Carlos Beltran.
Did he say no? Is that definitely true?
Look it up this morning. It has become official that he was concentrating on his Hall of Fame induction coming up this summer and didn't want to take the job as the Mets interim manager.
Well, that's interim.
Yes.
I mean, I think if they were to go to him and say, we want you to be our full-time manager, I think he's taking the job. I think so. Interim is one thing because, what are you? You're a stopgap. But I think he wants the job full-time, and I think he'll take it.
Why do you think?
I would want to see it.
Why do you think they only? Why do you think they only offered him the interim manager job? Why do you think that's the case?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't give you an answer to that. I can't give you. I mean, they're going to retire his number in a couple of weeks. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I hope he gets. I'm watching Sports Night right now on SNY. They're talking about Beltran. I don't know what they're saying.
Well, here it is. No, here it is right here. Carlos Beltran will be formally inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame this upcoming Sunday. Ahead of the ceremony, he revealed that he recently turned down the manager.
The right thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that right now. Yep. But I still think if you give him the full-time job, he's taking it.
Well, now it says that they did give him the full-time job, manager.
Okay, well.
And he still didn't take it.
I guess he doesn't want it. So what are you going to do? If
it's
he doesn't
funny.
want it, he doesn't want it, but
No,
I
listen,
like him.
I like him too, and I had Darryl Strawberry on this program for 40 minutes yesterday. The truth is we spoke more about Jesus and addiction issues than we did baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But, the Mets came out this week and said there are 5 guys we're not trading. Now 5, that's it. You got Christian Scott, Juan Soto, Ewing, Benji, and McClain. That's it. Everybody else is up for sale. And Strawberry said on this show with me yesterday, well, you need to add Lindor to that list. And I said, no. I can't stand the guy. I can't stand his wife. And Strawberry said, Sid, take the politics out of it. When his head is healthy, he's one of the best shortstops in the game. So Strawberry with a huge endorsement of Lindor on this show yesterday. But I remain steadfast in my opinion. No thanks. I think I agree with the 5 players the Mets want to keep.
100%. I'm with you on those guys. I'm also the kid Zach Thornton. I want to see him too. All right, I think he's pitching tonight. I want to see Thornton pitch the lefty. Looks like they may have something with him. I wouldn't trade Clay Holmes either, Sid. I actually would give Clay Holmes an extension because I think he's been very good. That's the one move that the genius Stearns has made that's really worked out. And you look at these young guys. You mentioned Scott. You mentioned McClain. I throw Thornton in there. You give me Clay Holmes. That's not a bad rotation going forward. No. That's a pretty decent rotation going into next year with young guys. So I would keep Clay Holmes as well. As far as Lindor's concerned, it's time to go. And he's been a very good Met. I've warmed up to him as a player, but I think it's addition by subtraction now for Lindor. I think he's a problem in the clubhouse. I think he's been a problem in the clubhouse. You go back to, when Baez was here and that whole thing against the fans with the thumbs down, the issues he had with Jeff McNeil, right? That whole thing with the squirrel. They were fighting in the clubhouse, whatever went down there. There's a lot of rumors that, one of the reasons that, Alonso and Nimmo and these guys are gone is because of a political riff with Lindor. We know he doesn't like Soto. He doesn't get along with Soto as it is now. You probably couldn't trade him at the deadline, but I think at the end of the season you got to look to see if you can move him. I really
agree.
do.
I agree with you. Zach Thornton is pitching against the Brewers later on tonight for the Mets.
And who's pitching for them? The kid that they traded for Peralta, Sproat, is pitching for the. He's, by the way, Peralta, get him out of here fast. He can't get out of here freaking fast enough, Sid.
He'll be
another
gone.
Brilliant move by the genius.
He'll be gone. He'll be gone, and Bo Bichette will be back in Toronto probably in about a day or so.
So I don't know if honestly he's got an opt out that's his opt out, and he's meant for like $40 million. I don't know if he's leaving, Sid. I don't know if he's leaving. I'm not so sure about that. I got mixed feelings about him, whether I want to see him going forward or not with the Mets.
I kind of like him. I kind of like Bo Bichette.
I got mixed feelings.
Yeah, me too. So the last thing here, I get this phone call from Joe on Sunday morning. He's with his beautiful wife, Terry.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he said, I just read Michael Goodwin's column in the New York Post.
Michael Goodwin and Miranda Devine are just tremendous.
The two best columnists in the world, and they're on the show all the time. And he said, Sid, tell me more about J.D. Vance. And I spent the next 10 minutes giving Joe the history lesson on why I don't like J.D. Vance, and I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, Marco Rubio. Now, again, don't get me wrong. If it's J.D. Vance versus Kamala Harris, I'm voting for J.D. Vance, right? Or any Democrat. I'm taking J.D. against. But he has that best, my fifth choice for the Republicans. I don't like him. And after you read what you read from Michael Goodwin on Sunday, Joe, you sounded a little scared, to be honest.
I was a little disappointed to read that. I mean, I didn't realize that, he seems like he's not exactly thrilled with Israel. I don't think he loves Netanyahu. That kind of I'm bothered by that. I can't tell you I'm not, And remember, when I said this to you, initially J.D. did not like Don. He came out against Don, and way back when, before, well before he kind of made the transition, and Don took him as the VP. So I like Rubio better. I clearly do. I think he's really got something. There's something about him. He's got that presidential feel to him that I don't think J.D. has, to be very honest with you. So. But, of course, I mean, look, if JD's running against Kamala or AOC or, Gavin Newsom or any of these disasters on the other side, obviously I'm voting for him.
You're still happy with the president. I've been a little critical of the president lately, the Iran stuff, Turkey, but I still love him, and he could not have been nicer to me when he saw me Saturday night in New Jersey.
Now, can I say this on the air? Sure. Now, I couldn't believe you told me something the other day that I was shocked to hear. Okay, shocked. You told me you voted for Hillary Clinton.
That's correct.
What were you thinking at that point?
I was thinking that here comes this TV guy that I like. I knew President Trump. He was on my sports talk radio shows for years. Right. He's got a hat on. He's going to build a wall. That's all he's got after the disaster was Barack Obama. I can't trust this country with this TV guy. So that after he won, he was in office a little less than a year, and he came on with me and Bernard. And Bernard was still alive, God rest his soul. And I told Trump on the air, hey, Alec, get this audio. It's actually pretty good from 2018. I told Trump on the air, I go, President Trump, we know each other a long time. Oh, yeah. I didn't vote for you. So when the interview was over, about 10 minutes later, all Trump kept saying was, hey, Bernie, how about the fact I got him? I got him back. You see, he was so happy that he converted me from a guy that did not vote for him to now a guy that he loves. I mean, him and I are good friends. He loved that, but I didn't trust that President Trump could be a really good politician. But I knew 3 months after that, I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you know how I feel about him. I think I'd like to see him end this Iran thing. You and I have talked about that. I think it's time to take them completely out. You don't think he will do that until after the midterms, right? I mean, it's basically what you told me.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's been 10 straight nights. We're hitting him hard. I don't know if we do anything that's really over the top until after November. I don't know. I think Trump is really upset. We just lost 3 servicemen, and he's pissed. So I don't know at this point what he does. I really don't.
There's more. I've even seen where there's more servicemen that have been wounded.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, I saw that too.
But let me say one thing. I want to say one thing about it. I'm not a soccer guy. I could care less. But I got to say this about the World Cup. Okay, the job that this country did with this World Cup, I think, was just tremendous. There was no incidents at all. There was no violent incidents, nothing along those lines. You didn't hear a word about that. It seems like it was flawlessly pulled off. Okay, no doubt about it. I mean, I think it made money for this country. Obviously, you had all these people come in from Europe and all over loving it. They're going to Chick-fil-A, they're going to Cracker Barrel, and they're having a good old time. The United States is fabulous. So I want to give our country, give the president, give everybody who ran this thing, give them credit for really pulling off a big deal.
Couldn't agree more. I was glued, never liked soccer, never, ever, ever glued to every second down the stretch. My dear friend Andrew Giuliani was on this show yesterday. He was really the guy that did it. So he's the guy that gets all the credit, most of the credit at least.
By the way, did these games ever end? What is? Could you imagine if we had like stoppage time in the NFL, bro? No, seriously, no, really. Yeah. So the game's over, but you know what? We got another 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I can never figure out exactly.
And we'll let you know when the game's over. Like, what is that?
I don't know.
What the hell is that?
I can't follow it either. I had no idea how much time was left in any of these games.
Know. Oh, they put up 9 minutes of stoppage time. Great. Now 9 minutes goes by. We're still playing. I mean, what are we doing here?
Oh, God. It's funny. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I have no idea. And these games, I mean, come on. Can somebody score a goal? I mean, here you got this massive freaking net, right? It's not like a hockey net. Massive freaking net. Nobody could put this damn. damn ball in the freaking net.
Well, if you watch a game on Saturday for third place.
Yeah, I know. It was 6-4. I know.
10 goals, France and England, so you got plenty of that.
I don't think they were really killing themselves. In the
I don't think so either. Mbappe had a big game. I got to run, Joe Beningo. As always, you're amazing. I love you. Give my love to Terry. We'll do it again next week. You're awesome, Joseph. Thank you.
All right, God bless, bro. All the love.
You too. There he is, WFAN legend, still on every Saturday morning on The Fan, and now weekly Sid Rosenberg contributor, the amazing Joe Beningo. We'll take a short break. Still lots more to do. John Solomon, Bo Dietl, Chris Macchio, and Dr. Oz. All that still to come. We're just getting started on a Tuesday.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Back in 2016, but I'm a ballsy guy. That's why Trump loves me. He does. And I told him that. He did an interview with me and my late, great former partner, Bernard McGurk, April 6th of 2018, during his first administration. And I'd known Trump at that point for years. Sports Talk Radio, he was on my shows. He knew me. They're pretty good. He had no idea I voted for Hillary. But I told him, and guess what? Our relationship, even better. Let's go back to April of 2018 when I told President Trump, and I know you're listening, I voted for Hillary.
I'll be honest, Mr. President. Now, this is Sid now talking, of course. You and Bernie are very, very close. Bernie has been a major supporter of yours for day one. Right. I have wavered, to be honest with you. But I'm going to say this. I think this is what's going to bode well for you in 2020. I'm one of those guys who didn't buy in right away, I'll be honest. I love you, don't get me wrong. But I thought some of the things that you talked about you couldn't do. And the truth is that a year into your presidency, you've completely converted me. You could ask Bernie, I've done a complete turn here. Total. And you want... And the things that you promised in your campaign, Mr. President, to your credit, you have done, and we both think you're doing a terrific job.
That's great. That makes me feel good.
President Trump, we're going to let you go back to running the country, but thank you so much for appearing on the, congratulating us on the new show that Bernie said.
Congratulations, really. And I really like what he said, Bernard. He wasn't so much of a fan, and now he's a fan. That makes me feel good, right?
I have to tell you, it took me a while, but I turned him around.
That's good. It must have taken you well. Hey, listen, congratulations. That's big stuff, fellas. A show like that is big. And do well, and God bless you both.
8 years ago, and now President Trump, at every opportunity, whether it's the East Wing of the White House on night 3 of Hanukkah, whether it's Mike Lawler's event in Rockland County, or just Saturday night in Bedminster, New Jersey, he calls me up there and gives me a shake, tells everybody how great I am. I love him. And I was honest. I did not vote for him back in 2016. He's gone on to become, in my opinion, the greatest president in my lifetime. We'll take a short break. John Solomon, Bo Dietl.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This potential Mamdani arrest, he laughed about it. He said, no, of course not. Mamdani should be worried about condemning the bad people, not people like me, and going after Hamas and blah, blah, blah. And now, of course, it's turned into a whole major worldwide story, and President Trump got involved yesterday, and Mamdani continues to double down. But the great John Solomon, I was happy to see that Just the News covered the story, and it really did all start right here 8 days ago.
How about that? That was pretty important. Yeah. Imagine the craziness of a mayor thinking he'd use his local police to try to arrest a world leader coming for official business in the United States. It's almost ludicrous, but it required getting all the way to the President of the United States to make clear that this is not going to happen. Sid, great job on this, starting with the great interview with Bibi.
Thank you very much. Coming from you, that means a lot to me, John. You know I mean that sincerely, so thank you. But I was frustrated because why does the media even give him room? In other words, no, the percent is zero. There's nothing he can do. The ICC, this Jew-hating, corrupt court led by this guy who wants to go after Bibi, who's got a history with sexual abuse and all this other stuff. Why even ask the question about the ICC? There's no room for interpretation. They've got zero jurisdiction here in New York and in the United States. So why are these reporters even asking Mamdani that question?
Well, because they're part of the clique, right? They're part of the disinformation machine. They're part of the brainwashing machine. These reporters today don't care about truth. They care about their personal beliefs and injecting them into every story. And so you see it. And if any of these stories were legitimate, they'd point out the very limitations that you have. We don't recognize the ICC in the United States. it is considered an illegitimate body on our U.S. soil. So there is no legal authority for the mayor or NYPD to do these things other than to get some media attention and to once again play towards the hatred of Jews and Israel and division in America. That's what these guys live on. They live on division, and the media gives lots of oxygen to that division when they give Mamdani stunts this level of attention.
And for Mamdani, it's pretty simple. He's not the smartest guy. People tend to talk about how smart he is because some high school he went to, which is ridiculous. But he's no dummy either. He knows that he's playing to his party, those DSAs, and an ever-growing Jew-hating Democrat party. So it makes sense for him.
Yeah, the politics are great for him. The politics are not great for the country. And I think at the end of the day, when we play these stunts, we're dumber as a nation. We get dumbed down. We lower our standards, and that's what the media playing in the gutter of Mamdani's politics are doing right now. But this alliance between the media and socialists in America is starting to create a movement. You're starting to see more of these DSA players cropping up all over the country. It isn't just Seattle, New York now. It's going to come to the middle of the country potentially. They pose a real threat. This narrative, this hatred, this sort of gutter politics, it has a really negative effect on our country. And it's time for middle Americans, people who don't ascribe to this hatred, who don't ascribe to the notion that America should be subject to socialism or big government, or to subject our rights to a bigger government, to stand up and say, we're done with this, we're finished. It's also time for the Democratic Party leaders to stop being so sheepish and to repudiate some of the things that are happening in their party on their watch.
Not just socialists, but communists. And I'm glad you brought that up because right. I'm being constantly reminded by people that no, they're only a small percentage. Mm-hmm. Most of the Democrat Party. You're nuts. You mentioned a couple of cities. I got news for you. Dearborn, Michigan, Patterson, right. New Jersey, parts of Minnesota, not just Somalians, other states that you can never imagine. They're starting to win elections, these people. So it's not a little percentage, and it is growing. And I think every American should fear that and not just kind of sweep it aside like, oh, the Democrats are not going to let it happen. Nonsense. They certainly are.
Yeah, listen, Donald Trump said a few weeks ago, this creeping movement, which is now creeping larger and larger by the day, is a existential threat to the United States. John Fetterman has been wise to call out and say, I won't stay in my party if this continues. I think that's the sort of leadership the country needs, repudiating it, confronting it, not looking the other way and letting it creep, saying it's no big deal until it gets to be such a big part that we have a hard time reversing it. So I think leaders like President Trump, John Fetterman on this issue particularly, has been very good. And I think speaking up, repudiating it, reminding our children that this is not what America was built on is such an important moment. And we don't have a second more to let it go by. It needs to be at this moment now that people stand up and say, enough, this is silly, this is ridiculous. It's anathema to the founding of our country.
John Solomon, the great John Solomon, who's now on this show just about every week because I think he's terrific. I really do. I think you're great. And look, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but you got to admit, John, I've been right about this Iran thing. I was very angry a couple of weeks ago. People were proclaiming victory. We've won. The Dow Jones is up and oil is down. I said, wait a second. The cancer is still there. It's going to metastasize unless you wipe it out. And now, guess what? Oil is going back up. Gas prices are going back up. And we're on the brink of an all-out war. So anybody proclaiming victory 2 or 3 weeks ago that I was getting angry with, turns out, John Solomon, I was right.
You were. Listen, we had a conversation a month ago, and I think we talked about the wash, rinse, repeat cycle, that President Trump was going to give him a chance, exhaust all avenues for pursuing peace. But at the end of the day, trust but verify would probably be the hardest part for Iran. Iran simply cannot stop acting bad. It only knows how to act bad, and it is a menace even when it has fewer military assets. So, the president's done a good job of leveling a lot of their capabilities, but they're not going to stop acting badly. That is in their DNA, particularly as long as the IRGC breathes and lives. The Revolutionary Guard is just built to do one thing, which is to create havoc across the world. And until you eliminate them, you give no chance to the Iranian people to overthrow this radical regime. 47 years of history doesn't flip. Now, I understand the president's approach. Let's give them every opportunity. Let them hang themselves, but they have hung themselves. And I think now, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is the president's going to unleash weeks and weeks of fury on them until there is no IRGC, and then he'll see if the civilians want to take back their government. But I think that's the path we're on right now. And
Thank
you were
God.
right, Sid.
No, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And thank God, because it's not just about the dust, and it's not just about oil prices. Because like you just said, John, you're right. You leave the IRGC in there. What do we got? We got 2 Americans killed in Jordan. We got an American killed in Iraq. And I know President Trump very well, like you do. We're both friends with him. It breaks his heart. It breaks his heart. He's really pissed. He's really pissed. But this war will never be won. Don't ever say that again until we have regime change. I know he doesn't want to do it. I know Americans don't want to hear that. It's not our job to do it. But without regime change in Iran, we never win this war. That's my statement.
Yeah, listen, I think one of the things that the military and Marco Rubio and others have come to realize that you can't have regime change as long as the IRGC has machine guns mowing their citizens down. We saw that in January. That was the warning sign. So I think the idea now is you eliminate the IRGC, you pound them, you take their targeting, and when they're no longer a force, the people of Iran can go in and do their own thing. But you got to get rid of these bad guys. They are ruthless. They will kill anyone on a moment's notice. There's nothing they won't try. They're probably trying right now to attack us on our U.S. soil, so we have to keep our guard high on that. But the quicker we thin them out, the quicker regime change can occur from within by the people of Iran. They want regime change. Getting rid of the IRGC gets rid of the primary roadblock that has prevented them from succeeding.
But if we don't get rid of all of them, how can we really ask these poor people who were gunned down, 50,000 of them murdered in the streets? Yeah. They don't have weapons. So are you telling me that we'll get to the point where the American government will actually provide Iranian citizens with weapons?
It's a great question, right? I think there's certainly been a reported effort that was seemed to have gone sideways if the reports are accurate. And the president has hinted that he had some frustration with that plan. It didn't work out the way we wanted. I think the elimination of the IRGC, when you get rid of their command and control, when you get rid of most of their soldiers and their killers, once that threat's gone, I think the civilian leaders have greater, some of the civilian leadership have been more reasonable in the negotiations. They simply can't control the IRGC. So I think the idea is you flatten them till there isn't a single Revolutionary Guard left. When that happens, you may not need the weapons. You may see a consensus in the country to just make a change. But as long as those radical nut jobs in the Revolutionary Guard are with force, you're going to have an ability to overthrow the country. So I think that's the key. You get rid of them. I don't know if you need weapons, but you've got to flatten them. That's the current assessment talking to the intelligence committees I've had over the last couple of weeks.
I've been saying for the better part of 3 months.
You have?
I'm not
You've been saying it. You've been right.
Thank you, John. So, but the last one for me then is we're all going to be in September, in Dallas in September for those couple of days. And, we need these midterms like a human needs water come November. We need them bad. Until this thing is closer to being finished, like maybe wiping out a bunch of these IRGC members, how much longer can President Trump, how much longer can we afford to do this before it really, John Solomon, bites us in the ass come November?
Well, listen, the gas prices are going back up again, just like you mentioned, and that always is a destabilizing effect on the people in power when they're going up going into an election. The American people seem to have given the president more runway and more patience than maybe prior presidents because they understand what he's doing. They understand that these guys are bad dudes in Iran and they've terrorized us and the world for 47, 48 years now. They're probably giving him more runway, but the president's got to continue to address day in and day out the affordability issue, what you can do in the short time, the freedom gas that he did the other day to keep gas low, make sure there's not price gouging on, and constantly message and tell the American people this is a temporary pain for a long-term gain. I think that's the key. I'd like to see the White House use the podium better. The president does a fantastic job. When he's doing other things, though, that podium should be clicking every day inside the White House telling that story. I think they need to do a better job of messaging off the podium. It's a very powerful place to get your message out. I'm not sure they use it effectively enough on this issue.
I agree with you 100%. Messaging is very important. I really thought he blew an opportunity last Thursday, my friend, the president. I love him. But, he could have talked about how things are improving, but things are going better instead of spending all that time on the Chinese and the elections. Last one. Sid Rosenberg thinks that the Joe Rogan interview hurt J.D. Vance. Donald Trump Jr. thinks that J.D. Vance did a great job and is solidifying his spot as our nominee come 2028. What does John Solomon think?
It's going to be a while before we really understand if J.D. Vance is truly the front rider or if Marco Rubio becomes a preferred. A lot of history is going to play out between there. But you see in that response a generational difference, right? Younger Republicans like the J.D. Vance style. Older Republicans like the way Donald Trump is approaching
God,
things.
You're calling me old, John. I know it. You're right. I am old. I'll be
right
60.
Alongside you, baby. But I do see there's a generational split. These 20 and 30 somethings that came up with Charlie Kirk, they have an affection for J.D. Vance, and and I think that's going to play itself out. History is going to have a significant role. How Iran plays out, how the 2026 election plays out, will have a big bearing on it. I've always learned that in the summer, 2.5 years before the presidential election, we really have no idea what's going to happen. Did anyone really think in 2014 Donald Trump would be president in 2016? I don't think so.
Not even him. I think he was still shocked that night. Listen, you are great. I know you listen. Your family listens. I love all you guys.
Yeah,
so
my whole family listens to you guys.
Well, thank you for another amazing appearance, John Solomon. Really terrific this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. John Solomon, love that guy. Just the news, and now has a very important job, actually, with the government. We'll take a short break. When we get back, everybody loves this guy on a Tuesday. It's his day, Tuesdays.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The great Bo Dietl every Tuesday. He kills it. Bo, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. I got one correction for you, my son. You're not the one that hates Mamdani the most. I hate him. I go to sleep thinking about him. I wake up. Before we go into his bull crap, and I really mean it, Sid, the way you feel, I feel 10 times that way against this guy. And what you say, I feel too, my son. Okay, you know what? A lot of people moved out of New York State. I don't know if you ever went up with me up to the Lincoln Lounge up in Mount Vernon.
No, I never went there with you. No.
Okay, it was a great family-owned joint. These friends of ours, Michael Rossetti and his wife Carolyn, ran it. They moved to Virginia, to Richmond, Virginia. She listens to you religiously. It's her birthday today, and she loves you, Sid. I have to do a shout-out. They have it tuned in to WABC for your show every morning. Carolyn loves you, and I just had to tell you that, man.
Happy birthday, Carolyn. Thank you, sweetheart. We love you here, too. Thank you so much.
And you got the great Chris Maggio coming on very soon, and you were right. Why they cut him out, we don't know. Okay, we're going to get into some stuff now. All of a sudden, you're talking about this guy, Borough President Donovan Ritchie. Finally, somebody spoke out now about the DSA having mostly white members, affluent members. There's not really that many blacks and Hispanics in the DSA.
No. Well, but wait a second. It was kind of racist. I'm going to call him out for being racist, Donovan Richards, because they're not blacks and Hispanics, but they're certainly brown people. They're Muslims, a lot of them. That's brown people. That's not white people.
Okay, so you know what, we can argue about that, but there's certainly people with money. A lot of people with money are behind them, and the DSA. But you start to see some cracks when you got a guy like Donovan Richards, who I don't like, but starting to realize that the DSA isn't what it is. It's one thing, like I talk about it every week. It's communism, and that's it. Let's say it like it is. Maybe some of the Democrats can come to their common sense and realize the road we're going. And that's going to look at Hassan Piker, that scumbag. He was in front of a college group this weekend. You know what he was dressed like? Like that Chinese communist piece of garbage. He was wearing one of those Mao things. Yep. Is there anything more you got to know about this scumbag? Now, I implore people. There was an op-ed page this weekend by Secretary Rubio, who we really, really, really like. I need everyone to read. Here's some major key points of what he talked about. He argued about the U.S. has overlooked the extremism, American counterterrorism, and growing danger. Then he criticized institutions for applying double standards. Rubio argues the media, academia, and major institutions have been willing to condemn right-wing violence while minimizing left-wing. He cites the 220 George Floyd riots, for example. Rubio pointed out to the widespread looting, rioting, destruction, assault, and some homicides. And then they talk about mostly peaceful violence. Get the hell out of here, burning places down. He says the far-left political violence is increasing worldwide. This is Rubio, your guy and my guy. highlights the recent attacks we just saw in the news this morning in Greece, Germany, France, firebombings, infrastructure. He also argues history shows far-left terrorism is not new. Rubio references FARC, Peru, all these groups that are terrorists all over. He warns the U.S. is experiencing the rise in politically motivated attacks. He said attacks on immigration officers, police, public incidents is going on. He calls for a tougher response to political violence. He concludes that governments must stop ignoring the left-wing extremists. You know what it's all about? Law enforcement now is in America, and it's coming. And we know there's going to be something happening. Look at just yesterday. This is a soldier whose brain has been shrivel-dated by all this anti-ICE crap. And I tell you what, Rubio, I implore everyone to read his op-ed page. He's right on the money, Sid. Okay, now we got to get down to the biggest scumbag number one. A lot of people don't know our mayor, Mamdani. All of a sudden, we're spending in excess of $4.3 billion on homeless shelters.
Right.
I did a little investigation on it.
Well, not just homeless shelters, on the homeless people in all, I think. Right, the shelters, right. Go ahead. You're right.
Okay, so all of a sudden you got a guy, Jack Brown, $1 million, Raul Russo, $900,000. These guys are making all kinds of money on these bullcrap. These are what they call, these are $4.5 billion. All they're doing is making money on these nonprofits. Nonprofits are where all of a sudden you had your friend Eric Adams, who I saw the other night, Casa Ciprian. He's been texting me every day since that night. He wants to talk to me. Eric, there was nothing to talk about with me. Your people, your band of thieves robbed this city, and so did you. Lose my number. Okay, now, here we go. Sid Rosenberg, you mentioned about the community leaders with this Braggs. BHRAG.
Yes.
This is another group that's getting money. Now all of a sudden, they awarded $200 million more from city shelters. At what point don't you realize these people are thieves? You got all these people who are under indictment, and all they're doing is giving them more and more. This is where Bruce Blakeman, my friend, the next governor of New York, from my lips to God's ears, has to go after Snaggle, Toot, Hochul, Adrian Adams. Allocated $445,000 when she was Speaker of the City Council, discretionary funding to Braggs. Debbie Lewis, Governor Hochul's assistant, all of a sudden she has search warrants at her. Farrah Lewis allocated $72,000 in City Council discretionary funding to Braggs. Everybody's ripping and robbing. No one cares. And you know what? This is what New York is all about. We got to go after this. And right now in New York City, we have DSA Councilwoman Tiffany Caban. She made a statement. Subway violence is 1 in a million events. Shut up. Go take the train, you lying.
Oh, listen, she's the same bitch that actually years ago told people on her pamphlets when she was running to go physically attack the cops. She encouraged physical attacks on the cops.
And then shake and bake. Jumaane Williams, more police to the subway is a lazy response. Shut up, go shake. Go back to your house in Fort Hamilton. We have security guards. You shake and bake. You do nothing person. Then you have the DSA congressman, Brad Little Punk Blander. Ooh, he's on my list too. It's critical all New Yorkers feel safe on the subway. But adding more police to the MTA isn't the way forward. What is the way forward? Stealing money? Stop it. All I know is we got to go back at Mamdani. You know, I've been looking into this. I talked to a couple of congressmen that we know. Mamdani must be denaturalized because foreign communists can be blocked from becoming U.S. citizens under the immigration law, which I talk about every week, the 1954 Communist Control Act. Now we're looking at him. Mamdani and his comrades have one goal. They don't care about DSA. That is the forefront of communism, and that's it. And all of a sudden, you got Mamdani sitting in Rikers Island with these rapists, murderers, and all that, having kumbaya with them. There was rapists in there. One guy killed his girlfriend, and he's sitting there. Now he was telling them, don't worry, you'll be out of here soon. Yeah, they'll be calling all over the street. This scumbag wants to empty out Rikers. Where are you going to put him, Mamdani? Why don't you put him over there in Gracie Mansion? All of a sudden, you got your friend there, the candidate Hernandez. He says $18.8 billion is stolen from this state. We need him to become the controller because this other jerk-off ain't doing nothing. And the city jerk-off, the state jerk-off ain't doing nothing. All I know is after Washington cut the Medicaid corruption. They cut $60 million. That's the beginning. There's more money being stolen. $13 billion in school contracts that are no bid contracts. This scumbag, who's the chancellor, he's under investigation for no bid contract. This is what Mamdani brings around him. The same as Eric Adams. You brought those thieves around. Now Mamdani has these. But if you look at these DSA people, they look right out of Star Wars, Night of the Living Dead, talking about Star Wars. Tell your kids, they ought to see that new movie. You got to see it in IMAX. Very violent. I don't think it's for young kids. It's a good movie. I saw it at West Hampton Theater. I got a bigger TV in my bedroom. You can't see it without IMAX, but very, very violent. More important, we got to go right to nearly 865,000 New Yorkers are on welfare now. Mostly 30 years, the most since Mayor Lindsay. Public assistance skyrocketed to a record-breaking $2.7 billion. Some say migrants caused 55% increase since 2022. Cut to New York. This is Mamdani's city. We'll give you. Then all of a sudden, Mamdani's fighting Trump's new rule that denies green cards to immigrants who use public benefits. Why would we give them public? And this law about the Chinese coming here, throwing loads all over the place and having kids and they're citizens. If you ain't a citizen here and you have a baby, you don't get that right. The right is for Americans who have babies in America. They should become citizens, not these people that are factory babies. That's what they are. And now all of a sudden you've got Wall Street. My friends at Wall Street, look at the market. The market's taking a crapper again. All of a sudden, we're going to be paying higher interest rates. We owe about $125 billion. New York is on the eve of destruction. You are bankrupt in this city. You schmuck. 8 years you're a citizen of New York. Get out of my city. Mamdani, get out of here.
Beautiful. There it is. That's why people love Bo Dietl every Tuesday morning, telling you the way it is. Scary numbers, and he's right. Everything he just said for the last 12 minutes was exactly right. Bo, I love you. You're right there with me. You're right. Okay, so maybe you hate Mamdani as much as I do. Maybe more. I don't know.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Jen, I know Jen, she's a baby, and now she's got a son who's engaged, so congratulations to the Gelbs. I do want to talk more about Jay Feely. I'll do that late in the 9 o'clock hour after we talk to Dr. Oz, but I get to a break because coming back, he's one of the great voices in America today. He's President Trump's favorite. He's also mine, the great tenor.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Twitter at Sid Rosenberg 19, when once again, like he did in the White House, Hanukkah, like he did in Rockland County with Mike Lawler weeks ago, like he's done a million times, President Trump finds a way to single me out, and Sid Rosenberg's the greatest, he's the best. Doesn't matter, it could be 500 people there. He sees me, and that's it. The whole night stops. Did it again, but part of the moment, the great moments of that night included my friend Christopher Macchio singing. I remember being at Bruce Blakeman's inauguration, too, months ago, after he won his second consecutive Nassau County executive seat. And Chris sang that night, too, and he just completely wooed the crowd. He's amazing. He is President Trump and Sid Rosenberg's favorite tenor. So it turns out that Chris was bestowed this honor of singing America the Beautiful Sunday at the World Cup final between Argentina and Spain. And he did it before the game, and my good friend Dan Scavino taped it, put it on Twitter, which is great. And then halftime came, and I never saw Chris. I get a text from Uncle Louie, our good buddy Louie Gregory. He goes, they didn't play it. I go, they didn't play it. What? So with that said, here he is, America's tenor, the very handsome Christopher Macchio. Good morning, pal.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure.
It's great to see you as always. You're such a sweet guy. So what exactly happened? You showed up on Sunday.
You actually taped it before the game, right?
Well, no, actually, it was supposed to be live. I sang it live. I was right after Post Malone. And it was part of what they call the closing ceremony, but that quote-unquote closing ceremony takes place before the game. And they had, a few different artists as part of that closing ceremony, including, of course, actor Tom Cruise, who I hung out with for a while in the green room backstage.
That'd be cool, no?
So, it was really cool. He was so nice.
Yeah.
I was ready to, do the Need for Speed thing, Top Gun.
Yeah.
And, he was great. And so all the artists were backstage, but, I was the only I was one of only 3 live performances throughout the entire World Cup season, and they showed everything except for my performance.
So
on the television.
the people, there was about 80,000 at Giant Stadium that day. So they saw you.
They loved it.
The President Trump saw you, Lara saw you, but the billion or more people that watch it at home on TV like me, we never saw you.
Well, there were a lot of international feeds that actually showed it. So the international broadcasters, a lot of them actually put it out. FIFA, I was very grateful to FIFA for having me and to Gianni Infantino and President Trump and Andrew Giuliani for, making it happen. But unfortunately, the actual broadcast, the live broadcast, they cut away from after Post Malone was finished, and they did not put America the Beautiful. And this was a tribute to America. This was a moment of patriotism, celebrating America 250. That was why I was there. That's why Gianni Infantino put me. That's why President Trump and Andrew Giuliani put me there. And so I was a little disappointed, to say the least, that it didn't end up finding its way on the live broadcast. They had some commentators talking over it and so forth.
Over it, yeah. Well, I'm pissed. I'm not just so aggravated. I'm pissed. Why do you think Fox did that?
I really can't speculate as to what their motivations were from an editorial standpoint. All I could tell you is that live performances, especially the kind that I deliver, are just so rare. Like I said, it was really me and Zach Brown. That was it. Everything else during the entire World Cup, it was all just studio recordings. I was the live performance. And you always want to hear the magic of a live performance. And so I really hope that down the line going forward, that these networks take heed and make sure that all of the live music, when it does happen, is carried live to the audiences around the world.
I was happy to see President Trump put out the Truth Social about your great performance.
He's so generous.
He was so great. And again, Dan Scavino put your effort on Twitter. That was amazing. But was President Trump pissed when he found out that they actually didn't have you singing live on TV?
You know what? I can't really speculate. I could tell you that when I did the White House in 2020, the RNC didn't want me to sing after a speech. They wanted me to sing before a speech. And he specifically told them, I want Christopher to sing after I deliver the acceptance speech. Well, they bumped me to before when no one was paying attention. So when I was watching President Trump deliver his acceptance speech, Secret Service came over and they said, President Trump wants you to do your entire musical set all over again, because President Trump, in my belief, wanted to make sure that musical moment was carried. And instead of leaving the stage, he and the entire First family lined up and made sure that the networks covered that entire musical set. And for that and many other things, I'm extremely grateful to our President Trump.
I have to know, because you are magnificent. You are. You're a great, great, great singer. And he loves you so do I. But when did this whole thing start, this relationship between you and President Trump?
I first met him for New Year's Eve in Mar-a-Lago in 2015. But we really made a very special connection at a very solemn occasion for his brother Robert's funeral in 2020. Mm-hmm. And he was kind enough to give me a standing ovation in the middle of that service. It was a 2-hour service. I sang 10 pieces in tribute to his wonderful brother. And, he really had a special relationship with his brother, and then he developed a particularly special relationship with me as an artist.
I think one of the reasons why he loves me so much is because I had difficulties, that's even a nice way of saying it, with drugs and alcohol. And he lost Robert, and he has no patience for that type of stuff. So seeing me win this battle and succeed in life, I think that's part of the reason why President Trump appreciates me.
And he had a very special relationship with Robert, and Fred was, of course, also another brother of his that had suffered from, from alcohol abuse.
Died from all that, right?
Yeah, and so,
Not Robert, right.
and I think that I share President Trump's aversion to all kinds of drugs and alcohol. I from a personal and a vocal health standpoint, I just stay away, and I think that's probably for the best for everybody.
100%. So, what is next for you, and what's the next big gig?
Well, I'm very excited to announce that they're putting me on to sing the national anthem and maybe even a few other songs for the Grand Prix of Washington, D.C., America 250 or Freedom 250. We're really celebrating America through the streets of Washington, D.C. And, of course, I'm particularly excited at this racing-related opportunity because I, myself, have a racing pedigree, having been a trained race car driver.
No kidding.
In my youth, yeah.
Where was that?
My father ran Bridgehampton Race Circuit out in the Hamptons, and then I trained all over the country, really, and in Formula, open wheel style. Like this is like the entry level that way you would eventually get to Formula One if you were good enough. I was not good enough for Formula One, but I really, really loved driving fast. I've got the speeding tickets to prove it.
It's a great sport, and they love America. Those guys, all those race car
they
drivers,
are patriots.
Oh, they're the
Andretti family
of every sport, right? They're the best.
Oh, yeah.
The best. All right. Well, you can't leave these studios.
Uh-oh.
I know it's a cappella. They got no music behind you. But being that you are the greatest tenor in the world and Fox just screwed you, I'm not going to screw you. I'm going to give you an opportunity with 1 million listeners right now, listening all over the world, from Tel Aviv to Miami to New York City. You get to pick. You want America the Beautiful? You want God Bless America? You want the Star Spangled Banner? You get to pick.
Well, I guess I might as well do a little bit of the what a lot of folks in this country at least missed on Sunday. So. And crown thy God with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America, America.
You are something else.
Oh, thank you very much.
When you figured out that, I can really do this, I'm really good at this?
I kind of figured it out at 13, tried to keep it a secret, and at 15, the secret got out, and everything changed after that.
So you've been performing ever since you're 15 years old?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
But, it's not an easy road, and my career really only started 15 years ago. And I'm just extremely grateful for the opportunity to connect with people all across the country and now the world through the beauty of music.
Last one, Trump has you everywhere. He does. But the problem is, and the scary part is, he's almost done, which is going to be a horrible day for all of us here in America when President Trump really walks away in 2 years, and that'll be it. Hopefully Marco Rubio will be next, but I can't guarantee you that. Either way, do you have like a lifetime deal with Republicans to sing?
Well, I certainly hope so. I've put in a lot of dues, and honestly, I could tell you, and I've got the photos to prove it. I've been a lifelong Republican since I was 9 years old. Okay, that's 1987, and I'm still going strong. I've been waiting for a president like President Trump all my life. I was hopeful with Bush. It didn't quite turn out the way President Trump was turning out. I mean, he's really the best president that we've ever had in all 250 years of this nation's great history. And I'm just so privileged to have such a close role in all of this at this moment in history. I'm so grateful to President Trump, and I'm also grateful for you and people like you doing what you do, putting that patriotic spirit out there and giving a platform and a voice to folks like me. I really appreciate it.
You do, and I can feel the sincerity. God bless you. That is the ultra-talented Christopher Macchio. There's not an event I go to for the great president. I agree with you, the best that Christopher doesn't sing, and we're lucky to have Christopher. He's an amazing singer, a great patriot, and a terrific human being. Chris, God bless you, buddy. Thank you so much.
God bless you, too.
Okay. That's Christopher Macchio right there. We'll take a break. Nomi's got the news.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
When you become friendly with Dr. Oz, you get to call him Mehmet. So with that said, good morning, Mehmet. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. Love the song. Love the intro. And Mariano as a friend, so I admire very much the value of that music.
Wow, you actually know the singer from Thompson Twins, so you really do know your stuff, Dr. Oz. That's pretty good. Let me ask you one thing that's out of left field, and if you don't know the answer, that's fine. What the hell's going on with Legionnaire's disease here in New York? You know anything about that, or why so many people are coming down with it? We've got 4 people dead already from that.
I have not been tracking it. I know that Secretary Kennedy is all over it. It came up in a brief conversation yesterday with the acting head of the CDC, Jay Bhattacharya. So I know they're aggressively managing it. Legionnaires is linked to air conditioning and where water is being stored in large buildings. So once the bacteria starts to grow, it can be a problem. But it's not the first time it's happened, and it won't be the last. We just have to aggressively treat it.
It's funny you mentioned you with Bobby talking about this meeting yesterday, and for folks that aren't paying a lot of attention, they watch Low Fox News, they listen to me every day. They think that all you guys do is talk about vaccines but when you think about it, or eating or diets, look what you guys are involved with. This Legionnaire's outbreak here. You're involved with fraud. So that department that Bobby Kennedy runs, and now you become such an integral part of that department's success. You guys have a lot on your plate. A lot.
Well, it's a $2 trillion plus agency. It's the largest federal agency. And people don't appreciate that because, we spend a lot of money on other things too, but it's twice the size of the Defense Department. So the secretary is in charge of, tons of programs that manage the health of this country, including the FDA, the NIH, which does all the research, the CDC, which helps with infections like Legionnaire's, and the parasite that was causing food poisoning and lettuce. I mean, these are all different parts of it. My area happens to be the insurance of America for our public services, so Medicare and Medicaid and the Obamacare exchanges. So we cover almost 170 million Americans. And that's why just my little part of it is almost $2 trillion by itself, because the money has to go through us in order to get out to the people, pay the hospitals, the clinics, and medications, and all the different factors to get involved. And that's why it ends up becoming political quite a bit, because people, like to get upset about healthcare costs for good reason, because they're upset when they go to a pharmacy and they can't afford their medications. That's a good example where the president said, enough, no mas. We don't want 1/3 of people walking out of pharmacies empty-handed when a doctor prescribes a med and they can't afford to buy it. That's not good health care. So that's why we negotiated the most favored nation drug prices that have now dramatically reduced drug prices in ways that we will save the American people about $600 billion. These are big numbers, hard to process, but that is a remarkable change in just the year and a half we've been in office. But you touched on fraud, which is the topic that I think most Americans right now are so upset about. And most fraud at the federal level is against healthcare, my agency. And the reason for that is because if you can get someone's Medicare beneficiary number, which is like a credit card, it's your official government number for insurance, or you can take advantage of Medicaid, which states often do because, as they often say in New York, just Medicaid it, which means shift the cost over to the federal government from the state government. That way, the state doesn't have to worry about it for its budget. And by shifting it over to the federal government, they hope no one will notice. But we noticed. And that's why I've been spending a lot of time in New York, whereas, I practiced for many years at Columbia University and lived there, raised my kids there. So, I love the area and I respect how much good has come out of it, but we have got to deal with the fraud issue, because ultimately, if New York games the system and then California games the system and then other states start doing the same, you bankrupt the entire system that we have crafted to take care of our most vulnerable.
100%. And I'm glad that you guys kind of employed Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley blew the doors off of Minnesota a couple months ago. And I know he made he ran with you here in New York. So turns out that Nick Shirley turned out to be a really important aspect in uncovering this fraud.
So in my office, I have a honey badger. It's just a stuffed honey badger. And Nick saw it and said, you know what, that was his nickname in high school. And wow. I think he's earned it. Wow. Honey badger don't care. Honey badger fights the battles that need to be won. It'll bite the cobra. It'll take on ants. bees, everything. But the part about the honey badger is once you bite something, you don't let go of it because people don't want to get caught. There's lots of money here. Let's take Flushing, Queens as a good example. So Nick and I were out there, and we spent some time researching it. Nick does his homework, and Nick bravely will walk into facilities and ask hard questions like who owns the place and how many people you're taking care of in this small little footprint. Because I saw your billing to Medicaid, and the state of New York paid you whatever it is, $10 million last year. That's a lot of people getting care. And, I don't see the ability for you to do that in a small little space. And then, of course, you watch these folks run for the hills because they know they're caught. So I was walking around with him in Flushing, Queens, visiting pharmacies, these what are called social adult daycare centers, which you guys never heard of, but it's the biggest business you've never heard of. They charge just in Queens and Brooklyn $2.1 billion over the past few years to state Medicaid. Now, here's the problem. When the state of New York gets that bill, they don't just sit on it. They tax New Yorkers, part of it, about a third. The rest of it, they charge me. That's at the federal level. And so that means every taxpayer in America is paying $2.1 billion to social adult daycare, which I'm going to explain in a second, in just Queens and Brooklyn. By the way, the entire state of New York is $400 million outside of that area. So it's 5-6 times more than the rest of the state put together just in those two little boroughs. And the crazy thing is, and you're going to say, hold on to this because you're not going to believe this, social adult daycare centers are basically places that seniors go to hang out. You go play mahjong. There's primarily Chinese and Koreans there.
Right.
And we actually, believe there's organized criminal activity that's behind some of this. This is what folks on the ground are telling us there. I've gone there with law enforcement. There's a couple of times now I've been there. It's remarkable. You understand how they did it. It's a clubhouse den of inequity. They bring seniors in. They've taught the seniors that they can get bribed by, let's say, $1,000 a month just to show up and give them their beneficiary number, give them the ID number. With that number, they begin to charge all kinds of crazy things. They send them electric wheelchairs they don't need, expensive prescription medications they don't want. They order tests they don't ever get. And all this stuff generate these fake bills and that are now charged against the Medicaid system, which, again, I have to pay for most of, and with your tax dollars. And this system gets bigger and bigger and bigger because once you realize how to game the system, which is what we basically allowed America to figure out during COVID, that if you steal from the government, we're not going to come after you. And so foreign actors got involved, foreign criminal entities and foreign governments got involved in these endeavors. And they just run circles around us, which is why we're being so tough on New York. We want them to clean this up.
When you say foreign governments, I want to get more specific. Are we talking about China here, especially in Flushing, Queens?
It's implausible that you would not have foreign governments like China, for example, involved in this. It's possible they're not. It's possible that it's a small part of what they're up to, but they're involved in lots of other disinformation that we know of. And so, if nothing else, they're sort of happy that this is happening. But we know that from accusations made by local people in Miami that the Cuban government has been involved in some of the fraud down there. They have twice as many durable medical equipment suppliers that sell those wheelchairs that I just mentioned, that it can be $10,000. Electric wheelchairs, they go up and down, right? They'll move those things really quickly, ship the money overseas as soon as they get the cash from the government, then they flee back to Cuba. So whether the Cuban government's orchestrating it or just aiding and abetting it, who knows? Right. We know the Russians are involved in California and Philadelphia in some of the fraud that we're seeing in those areas. So again, if you're a foreign country and you can use the American healthcare system as a piggy bank, it's almost your job to take advantage of it. And it's our job to stop you from doing it.
It's interesting because when we think of our adversaries or enemies on the war front, for example, we think of China, we think of Russia, we think of North Korea, we think of Cuba, who we're going to fix coming up very, very soon, thank God. But all those countries that are providing our enemies with weapons and intelligence and working against us on the war front are the same countries that are robbing us blind right here in the United States. And let's not forget, because you pointed this out Sunday on WABC with John, you talk about Chinese, for example, and they're involved in this. They are, Korea. But they're also involved in some really tawdry stuff like human sex trafficking. These are the same people that are doing that. Is that not right?
You're right, and I've heard that from law enforcement, people that I trust, saying that the Mecca, human trafficking in certainly the Northeast, is in Queens. And you can go to Flushing and see what I'm talking about. I'll tell you a true story of what happened when I went to Flushing for the very first time. And this is more than 6 months ago. And I show up there, and I am walking through the streets, and I notice how many healthcare companies are there, like radiology clinics, acupuncture clinics, herb clinics, pharmacies, anything you'd ever want to have. I mean, it's like too many to make sense. And there'll be a dozen pharmacies on one city block. That's impossible. Like, why would you ever do that? So I'm walking down the street and just looking at this and chronicling it. And one of my charge nurses from Columbia walks up to me and says, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you. Oh, and this woman is a warrior. She is brave, fearless. We've done lots of wonderful life-saving things together. She's unflappable." And so as she notices that I'm there with other people like law enforcement, she asks me why I'm in Flushing. I tell her that I'm worried about these social adult daycare centers. I think they're basically clubhouses to bring together seniors and then get their ID numbers and start to take advantage of the healthcare system of America. She panicked. You could see the fear in her eyes.
Oh, boy.
She immediately said, "I have to leave." She couldn't talk to me anymore. It was too dangerous. I didn't know what I was doing. Please, right now, I need to get off the streets. And then she ran away.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
If you work with someone for decades and you see that kind of fear in their eyes, you know it's authentic. She was worried for me, and she was worried for herself that she was talking to me.
Oh my God!
So I get lots of threats. I understand all that's part of this job comes with that, but this is at a different level of corruption, and we're seeing this all over the country. I was with Billy Asaley, who's a great U.S. attorney in Los Angeles, taking out the drug cartels in MacArthur Park. MacArthur Park is a normally pretty part of Los Angeles. Now it's basically an open-air drug market. And when you go there, you see the different cartels writing their logos on the buildings. They've taken over parts of the city. They own those parts of the city.
Yeah.
We discovered 20 kilos of fentanyl from the Sinaloa cartel that we confiscated. 20 kilos of fentanyl. You can kill 200,000 Americans with that. These are massive businesses. And again, where's that fentanyl coming from? It's coming from China through Mexico in this case.
Yep.
So it's not a bunch of small town operators. The message, if I to take away from today's discussion, is that these are not a bunch of little lowlifes doing this. This is weaponized, sophisticated, multinational criminal syndicates that are involved in an effort to defraud this country. It is the tip of the iceberg. There's other kinds of fraud and abuse and waste as well. And just to put a number on this, it's about $100 billion a year just from the healthcare system. If we fix that, we would double the life expectancy of the Medicare Trust Fund. Restated, if you're working your tail off right now and you're worried Medicare will not be there for you when you're ready to retire at 65, this beautiful golden program we have is a parachute to catch you and gently lower you down when you stop working at the end of years of effort. If you're worried it's not going to be there for you, we take out fraud, it'll be there for you and your kids.
Big deal. I'm actually hosting an event tonight at a bar on the Upper East Side in New York with a guy named Joseph Hernandez. He mentioned you on this show yesterday. He's running for the New York State Comptroller job. And he said to me, Sid, Dr. Oz, all these wonderful people exposing all this fraud here in New York. He goes, it's my job to put the people who are doing this in jail. Where are the repercussions? Now, the problem becomes if these are foreign syndicates, which they are, like you're stating, a little more difficult for a state comptroller to put these people in jail. But even at the state level, they're aware, Dr. Oz, of the criminal activity, and they want to do something about it.
There's lots they can do about it. And one of the realities is these folks will run to the place that's not looking for them. If you do not go after them, not only will they burrow more deeply into the ecosystem, but they will corrupt every part of the way that you run your government. They'll own everything. That's what happens in third world nations. So we have now created nationwide moratoriums on new programs. For example, with those durable medical equipments that I've been talking about, the wheelchairs, canes, Catheters, nationwide moratorium. We've already sucked out $1.5 billion of fraud from that business. We wiped it out. We went after skin substitutes. Took $15 billion of expenses just from that industry that we believe was disingenuously selling stuff through doctors into the system. So if you stop the corruption, they're rats. They will leave. They'll go try to defraud us somewhere else. They'll go defraud banks or schools or SNAP. But they're going to leave healthcare alone. And that's important because when you steal money from our most vulnerable citizens who are really in trouble and need to care for chemo or rehab or whatever, and you steal their money, you take away their services, you don't just take away their money, you take their health away, you take their lives away.
Terrible.
So the stakes are much higher. And plus, as I mentioned, the money is in healthcare. You get them out of healthcare, the stakes are smaller. The criminals will still steal, but take a zero off the end of what they can get away with.
Terrible. Last one for you. You revealed yesterday, Dr. Oz, that the healthy retirement habit that could make America $1 trillion richer includes meaningful relationships, restorative routines, screen-free evenings. They help reduce stress. All these things you think can help America not only get well, but get wealthy. Isn't that true?
It's true. And for one really important reason, everything you just mentioned will allow us to live life with such vitality, such vigor, such of a joy that we'll actually want to work 1 year longer. Let me just put that out there so you all think about it. I know everyone out there wants to do an extra year of work, but working longer actually is correlated with better longevity, purpose, and mission. I mean, you have agency on this earth. God put you here to accomplish things. So if you are healthy enough because you've taken care of yourself and the system has worked for you to maintain your health, that you want to work just 1 year longer, instead of retiring at age 62, you retire 63, that 1 year is worth $1 trillion to the U.S. economy. Just process that. $1 trillion deals with the GDP issues. $300 billion of taxes comes from that, pays for Medicare, Medicaid, all these other employment benefits. It helps us balance our budget. And all we got to do is take advantage of the most valuable thing America has, which is its people. Take care of our people, make our people healthy, vital, vibrant, and they will do more to create more and continue to make our nation healthy. That's the secret to America's success. We work.
You're a special guy, Dr. Oz. I mean that sincerely. Bobby's lucky to have you. We're lucky to have you. I consider you a great friend, Mehmet. You really are terrific. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. You're always great. And continued success in helping America every day. Thank you, my friend.
God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Dr. Oz right there, my friend Mehmet Oz. Right here on Sid and Friends in the Morning. He's become a good friend of the show. Great guy. Called me last night at home right after dinner. Had a nice conversation and hopped on this morning. Thank you, Dr. Oz. We'll take a short break. Still more to do. I'll hand the football to Brian Kilmeade in about 40 minutes. So keep it right here.
Sid and Friends in the Morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's very bumpy, Lewis. I get out. Well, they're probably up peeing about that time. You know, most people get up and go to the bathroom while you and I are already on the way to work. They go right back to bed, you know.
Okay, I didn't know who you were.
They make a quick pee, you go back to bed. Right. Okay. And we're on the road. Sorry. And the roads are rough here, I got to tell you. I get out of the car every morning, me and Lou, and it's like we just played a football game. We really barely make it out.
It hurts.
It hurts. And it's not because of Gene or the car.
It's not Gene.
No. I got to hear one more time from this idiot mayor that he fixed all these potholes. Where?
No chance.
Where? Not on the Gowanus, not on the Belt, not on the Brooklyn Bridge, not on the FDR, dickface.
Feels like you're driving on the Cyclone.
Oh, my God, it's brutal. We get out of the car. My back hurts.
Yeah,
Lou's back hurts.
Wow.
It's terrible.
Do you get up to pee in the short period of time that you do sleep at night?
Oh, yeah, like twice.
Really?
In like 5 hours.
I just read the study. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but it seemed like from a reputable source.
Yeah.
That if you can control your bladder by holding it in for long periods of time, and you can make it so you don't have to get up in the middle of the night to pee.
I've tried all that stuff, and then I pee the bed. So,
well, that's embarrassing.
That's always fun.
That's another option.
Well, at least you didn't get up. You know, I mean, you stay sleeping.
I mean, I don't even stand up when I go make pee-pee in the middle of the night. I just sit down on the toilet like a girl.
Well, it's dark, Al. I get that.
No, it's dark. I can't. I'm tired.
Yeah,
I just sit there.
At least you're making it to the toilet.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, yeah, I know. One time Danielle Walked in, I was asleep on the toilet. And she thought I was getting up to go to work. I had been there for 2 hours. I mean, it's all falling apart. You think it's a joke? You're all laughing. It is all falling apart.
Oh, it is totally falling apart. I agree.
No, it gets worse and worse. And it'll get worse from there.
Well, I'm right with you, though. You're not like 10 years older than me. We're close.
No, I
couple of
understand
years.
that, but I'm saying it's
60. 60 is a big number, right, Lou?
No, it gets... You won't even know you went to the bathroom.
I got that to look forward to. That's great.
So in that respect, it'll get better.
Yeah, it'll
You'll
get better.
just be going to the bathroom.
I won't remember.
You won't even know you're at somebody's house.
That's
doing it on
fantastic.
That
is fantastic.
That's great.
Dr. Oz, I love the interview. You know, I did promise you guys, after we turned 250 on July 4th, that I would focus my attention on 9/11. And I believe, Lou, Justin, Nolan, and when Nolan's here, Nolan, I believe we played at least a cut every day since I made that promise, which is going on a couple of weeks now. So today, in the great state of Arizona, a friend of mine who kicked for 12 years in the National Football League, local teams, Jets, Giants, Dolphins. I worked in Miami for many years, a lot of time with Arizona. Jay Feely. Jay Feely is running for office, Congress in Arizona. He just received a hearty, and I mean hearty, video endorsement from President Trump, who's a big sports fan. You know, Trump loves sports. You know Jay. And Jay's a pretty good golfer, too. Very good golfer. Him and the Bears Hall of Fame linebacker Brian Urlacher both live in Arizona. So we're endorsing Jay. Jay's been on the show a bunch of times. And Jay was on just a couple of days ago. Again, today is primary day in Arizona, and we are rooting for Jay Feely. But I did bring up 9/11 with Jay last week. Here's a 9/11 cut of the day. And the former great NFL kicker running for office with the primary in Arizona today had this to say about that awful day almost 25 years ago. This is Jay Feely, cut number 9. Trump loves him. Sid loves him. Here he is, Jay Feely. The Broncos, September 10th, 2001, when they beat the hell out of my New York Giants. Kerry Collins, he had gone to the Super Bowl the year before, got blown out by Baltimore, but the NFL rewarded my Giants with the opening game, Monday Night Football. And Jim Bossel, my late friend, the great coach, he used to tell me this story. I play it here every year, that when the Giants pulled in from Denver, when Brian Griese beat them the night before at Newark Airport, that is, they were taxiing towards their gate, the plane that would eventually crash in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, was making their way towards a runway. How eerie is that, Jay Feely?
Yeah, that was my rookie year. And, you know, obviously I'll never forget that. Never forget where I was standing when we found out, when we saw what happened. And then they canceled the games that week. And then we went out and played the next week. I was wearing an Adidas shoe. And you think about the 3 white stripes of Adidas, right? And I painted them red, white, and blue for that next game. We were actually, ironically, out here in Arizona playing that next game. I was playing for the Falcons. And I painted my shoe for that game. We played that game. I never did it again. I have it in my office. When I do interviews and you see me in the background, that shoe is still sitting up there in my office. It was the only game I wore it.
Wow.
I painted it red, white, and blue, and it's just special to me. Just like you always say, like never forget. You're talking about the Tunnel for Towers.
Yep.
And I love that organization. I do a lot of their events. And we can't ever forget what happened.
No, we forgot,
so
though.
Unfortunate.
But we did. We
What
forgot.
happened in New York, you forgot it.
Exactly
you know,
right.
You're implementing and advocating for exactly the opposite things. The things that they were fighting for. Those people that destroyed 9/11, and now you have socialists in office there in New York that are advocating for those very things, for the destruction of the American empire.
Low-life mayor, to just complete Jay Feely's sentence, the low-life mayor Mamdani, and enough bad things can't happen to that guy for me. I mean, I'm out there every day, and I don't hold anything back. I just don't. You know, I really despise the guy. I hate him. So he is he's worse, I think, in 6 months than Bill de Blasio was in 8 years. That's saying a lot, no?
That's huge.
Maybe true, though, no? Maybe.
I think I think that may be true.
It's unbelievable, but it was predictable. We knew this. Maybe not as at the rapid rate we're seeing it, but he's just a complete nightmare, this guy. Complete nightmare. We got more to do. You know, if you watched what happened in New York at the Jacob Javits Center last Friday and Saturday, and I guess Thursday too, they had this big event. It's called Fanatics, right? They do it every year. And all these major athletes come into New York, and they go to the Jacob Javits Center, and they you can buy tickets, and they sign autographs, and they do like little discussions on stage. You know what I mean? Like Derek Jeter was there, and Strawberry and Keith Hernandez. So at one point last week, I'm sure you guys saw this, 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady ended up on stage with Logan Paul. Did you guys see this?
I did.
I can't believe what happened next. If you don't know about it, we're going to tell you. My dear friend Jason Whitlock, the host of the amazing podcast Fearless, he's going to tell you what he thinks about Tom Brady and why Tom Brady will never be Michael Jordan despite 7 championships. All that and more.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Boyle or Blakeman or somebody, make sure somebody lets Gabriel in. I'll call you when the show is over in a couple of minutes, but my beautiful son is standing outside trying to get in. Gaby boy. So I told you before the break that Tom Brady is up on stage, and it was Logan, right? Not Jake, right? Logan Paul?
Yeah, Logan.
Right. And do you know what they were arguing about?
They've had a tiff going on for a while.
They have?
Yeah, it's got to be a publicity stunt because, I mean...
Well, they're kind of going.
Yeah,
they're going back and forth. Logan's doing most of the talking. It looked like.
Yeah, but I mean, they're on completely different levels in terms of their celebrity.
Right,
and
you got one guy who's he's a YouTuber.
Yeah,
not even the bigger one. His brother is even bigger. Against a guy that's won more Super Bowls than anybody.
So I just don't see, even if it is a publicity stunt and it's fake, I don't understand why
Brady would do it.
Brady's even doing it
because Brady slapped him pretty hard.
Yeah,
did you guys see that?
I did.
No, that was a pretty hard slap.
It was, but it felt not real. Well, I mean, he hit him hard, and that's true.
Even if it was real, the slap was. But Logan has boxed like his brother, so he can take a shot across the face.
Right.
But that was a real slap. But you're right, it didn't feel real. So my buddy Jason Whitlock was on this show quite a bit. He's a black guy, not that it matters, but he's always critical of black people, which I love. And he talked about this on his podcast, Fearless. And he said, Brady, you'll never be Michael Jordan. Lewis, cut number 11.
I didn't see greatness in that clip. I saw a 48-year-old man who won 7 Super Bowls reduced to a warm-up act for a YouTuber. What happens to a champion when the applause stops? Michael Jordan understood something Tom Brady doesn't. Absence creates myth. After basketball, MJ didn't chase relevance, he withheld it. Jordan barely speaks publicly. When he does, it's an event. Scarcity is the strategy. Brady is doing the opposite. He's everywhere. The Fox book, the functional beverage hawking, and now bits with influencers half his age. It's all just incredibly weird. Tom Brady wants to be Pat McAfee. It's like Brady wants Mike Tyson's post-career legacy. We love Mike Tyson, but we also giggle at him behind his back. I never laugh at Michael Jordan. We simply revere him. Michael Jordan built an empire. Tom Brady is building a highlight reel for other people's content.
Oh, he's kind of tough on Brady there, no? But accurate, right? I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Come on, Tom. He is good on TV, though, and he is handsome. But come on, man. That's embarrassing. Logan Paul. Zach Gelb hosted the overnight show last night on WFAN. He'll be co-hosting the afternoon show this afternoon with my dear friend Craig Carton. Bob Gelb's son, Zach, a very talented kid, and he took a call from somebody on the overnight show on the fan at about 3 o'clock in the morning, about 7 hours ago. What's his name? Spencer? The guy who's here in the morning with
Spencer Rain, yeah.
Spencer what?
Rain.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Spencer Rain, nice guy. Very nice guy. And I guess when he drives to work in the morning, he's got the fan on. So he heard this call. He made us aware of it. And the next thing you know, Zach Gelb sends it. 3 o'clock this morning, WFAN. Guess who comes up? Cut number 12.
Do you remember when the fan did Fear at the Pier? And it was Bernard McGurk against Sid Rosenberg. I
love Sid. Sid is the greatest. I love Sid so much. Sid's a gangster, man.
I think
you want to do something for the fan? Bring Sid to the fan. I'll give a little taste of Imus to the fan.
Gangster. We did play Gangster's Paradise to start today's program because of that. But how about that? You like that, Noam?
Gangster.
I've been called a lot of things. One of these I'm going to write down all the things they have been called, Not the curse words, obviously.
We'll see in a couple of years.
Yeah, I know. But just shock jock, I guess, is very popular lately. Conservative, radio host, very popular lately. Trump butt boy, that's a big one.
Potty mouth, I remember seeing that.
Potty mouth, yes. That was City and State. When they said the potty mouth radio host is running for mayor.
Crazy narcissist,
yes. Israel first.
Oh, good one.
A lot of that. Yeah. Israel first, America second.
Complete lunatic.
I don't think I've been called that yet. Have I? Complete lunatic?
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere.
That may have been Danielle.
That's right.
But there's a lot of them. One of these days we'll write them all down.
Air fried Thanos.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh, that one, Thanos. Very good. Thank you, Jon Stewart. And a lot of people have run with that since the Thanos.
Yeah. A literal chicken wing.
A literal chicken wing. Yes. Who knew that Fox News had to hire a little chicken wing? You know, I was thinking about Jon Stewart this weekend, too, because I complained about Chris Macchio, who was in studio. The last time I complained about the halftime show anywhere, it was Bad Bunny, and Jon Stewart beat the hell out of me. Noam loved every second of it.
I did.
It wasn't that funny.
We sounded like Spinal Tap reviewing their albums in front of Rob Reiner.
That was a good bit.
It was great.
Yeah,
they're reading the horrible reviews.
Yeah.
Where did they print that? No, they can't print that. It's a good one, though.
Poor Rob Reiner. Oh, what a disaster that was, too. All right, we're done for today. What a spectacular program. Lou Rufino, as always, amazing. Love you 2 times. Justin Ellick, great. Noam Layden. I would say Joe Nolan, but he's still throwing up.
Probably.
Guy throws up for hours. I never seen anything like it in my whole life. He's an adult. Who does that?
People who are sick. Maybe.
I guess. I don't know. I never heard of such a thing. John Terrett and of course, Tanya as well. God willing, as Gene would say, we'll all be back for a big Wednesday show tomorrow morning. Efforting Phil Simms to preview the 2026 Giants. Until then, from all of us on Sid and Friends in the Morning to all of you, we'll see you tonight at Dorian's at 6 o'clock. Peace!
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?